More fans than ever before have been flocking to the Valley of the Sun for spring training. Giants fans fill Scottsdale Stadium to see their team prepare for the upcoming season. The 2016 version has many familiar faces and a few newcomers to the orange and black as well. It's daytime baseball. The Giants and Diamondbacks in the Cactus League coming up next. A landmark in the Valley of the Sun, Camelback Mountain, and down in the valley, downtown Phoenix. But we're over in Scottsdale on the eastern side of the valley. The Giants spring training home today. The Giants and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller for Dwayne Kuiper, who is on assignment with Mike Krukow. And, Mike, the Giants have been having a kind of a quiet camp because there are not that many jobs available. Today we get a look at a possible future member of the Giants rotation. He's had some great success in the minor leagues, left-hander Ty Blach.
Well, Ty Blach last year, 11-game winner in Sacramento, led the Pacific Coast League in innings pitched. And a lot of people believe he has a style very similar to that of Dave Dravecky. In fact, they say it's uncanny as to how he reminds everybody of Dave Dravecky. So, hey, we got to watch this.
We're waiting to be reminded of Dave Dravecky. Any reminder of Dave Dravecky is good. So Ty Blach on the hill, the Giants up against the D-backs, and we'll be back with the lineups and then the ball game right after this.
On CSN Bay Area is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. And by Toyota. Save big during Toyota's One for Everyone sales event. Find the right Toyota for you at buyatoyota.com.
In the desert, the saguaro cactus nearby, a real signature of the area. And the Giants and D-backs, a big crowd gathering on this Saturday. A fabulous day, although it's cooled off a little bit. The Giants facing the team that plays here all year round, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have Owings leading off at second base. Socrates Brito, a hot prospect for the D-backs. You'll probably see him a lot during the regular season. He's in center. Paul Goldschmidt, the slugger, at first base. Wellington Castillo catching. Veteran Ricky Weeks trying to make this team left field. Brandon Drury, the rookie third baseman. Peter O'Brien, a DH, another hot prospect from the farm system. Gabriel Guerrero in right. Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, hitting ninth. And the Giants have Ty Block on the mound.
Block, 6'2", 200-pounder. He's 25 years of age in his 4th year in professional baseball. No big league experience. Last year, Block led the Pacific Coast League in innings pitched. And you're going to see a low 90s fastball with a good natural cut and a little slider and a curve and a changeup. Very good changeup.
Chris Owings was very late on that one. Diamondbacks have a new look with their uniforms this year. We're seeing the new road pant legs here today. And now the count is 2-1. Both teams are playing 2 games today, by the way.
How do you like the unis?
Well, I suppose it could grow on me. It's kind of startling when you first see these, the real dark gray. And he was very late on that one, too. 2-2.
Block, who many have said his style of pitching reminds him of Dave Dravecky. And if you watch the way that he sets up, starts his motion, I mean, it really is like Dravecky.
Tomlinson just in time. Didn't have a whole lot of that throw, and Owings, who runs well, made it rather close.
Let's take a look at the defense playing behind Ty Block today for the Giants, starting in their outfield from left to right. It'll be Pagan, Hernandez, and Parker. Tomlinson joined on the left side of the infield with Matt Duffy. Joe Panik, Brandon Bell will patrol the right side. Andrew Susak, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Socrates Brito now, and he bunts at it and misses. Strike one. Brito probably became their top prospect in the minor leagues after they made the big trade with Atlanta, the trade in which they acquired the right-handed starter Shelby Miller in the offseason. They also traded Ender Inciarte in that deal, and the guy had been a real strong outfielder for them. But many think that Brito has a lot of the same tools as Inciarte and could be every bit as helpful out there as he was. I certainly give him a shot at it. That's the big curveball, and Susak throws him out after digging it out of the dirt. 2 down.
2 types of breaking balls, a slider and a curveball. This thing just explodes. It's a great 0-2 pitch. You go down below the strike zone and hope they fall. And for Brito, who's never faced Ty Block before, he just got schooled. Nice pitch.
He may not want to face him again. 2 down here is Paul Goldschmidt. Become one of the top players in the league. First ball swinging, and Duffy throws him out. A very strong inning for Ty Block. Denard Span will be coming up, then Panik and Duffy. And a lot of families here. A lot of these people come in from the Bay Area and making sure they've got the sunblock going here, which is necessary. The lineup for the Giants: Denard Span, the DH. Joe Panik at second. Panik's been hitting the ball with authority lately. Matt Duffy at third. Brandon Belt at first base. Angel Pagan left field. Jarrett Parker In right field, Andrew Susac hits 7th. Kelby Tomlinson at short, and Gorkis Hernandez has been playing center field and is doing so today. And young Archie Bradley on the mound for the D-backs.
23 years of age, 6'4", 225-pounder. Bradley just a few days short of a year's experience at the big league level. He's got a true power arm, former first-round pick, the 7th overall in the 2012 draft. A fastball, you'll see mid-90s, 2 types of fastball. He will 4-seam and 2-seam the fastball. Got a good, hard, snapping curveball. It's a good strikeout pitch, and he'll also throw a circle changeup.
Denard Span has not yet played in the field. And that's called a strike on the outside by Adrian Johnson, the home plate umpire. Span has had little, as he described it, when he throws, he feels a little pinch in his shoulder. Back to the screen, and the count is 0-2. So yesterday, for the first time this spring, he went to the outfield and made some throws back to the infield. Although he said he every time he'd really let loose with one, he'd feel this little pinch. So he just doesn't want to take any chances just yet. But tomorrow he's planning to go out to the outfield again before the game and make some more throws from out there. Shielding the eyes with the glasses in foul ground, Drury, and Denard Span is retired, 1 away.
Time now for our Togo's big play the Togo's way. And last Tuesday against the Reds, Joe Panik stepped up and did this. It was the night where he finally got his first hits of the Cactus League. And follow that up with a home run off of Anthony DeSclafani.
Joe Panik hitting .375 for the spring and 16 at bats. And most of those hits have come lately. 0-1 the count. A little bit of a breeze blowing out toward right field. So ball could get a push in that direction. And that's too low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Took a while for Panik to get his first hack. It would fall in for a base hit. But it took a while for him to get his strike zone. Once he gets locked into the strike zone, you won't see him leave it very often. And that's one of his strengths as a hitter. Covers the strike zone very well, and he doesn't go out of it. I mean, that's something that he showed a real strong ability in when he first got to the big leagues. Very disciplined hitter, and not afraid to hit with 2 strikes.
So it's 3-1 now.
You pitch against guys like Panik that know the strike zone very well, and they can cover all aspects of it. It's just a grind when you're pitching against a guy like that. It just seems like every at bat's going to be 5-6 pitches. He's not going to get himself out.
Right to the third baseman, Drury. And he blistered that one. 2 down.
Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks defensively, starting in their outfield from left to right. It'll be Weeks, Brito, and Guerrero. Ahmed Drury on the left side of the infield, Owings and Goldschmidt on the right side. Wellington Castillo, former Rookie of the Year, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs. Just go with the location is something that he has always done. Uses the whole field, hits a bullet. However, it finds a glove. They'll drop during the regular season.
Curveball, that was a beauty, right at the knees, and the count is 0-2. And 2 to Duffy. Duffy, 2 hits, 13 at bats so far for the spring. And that's a little bit off the inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And for Duffy, a whole new story coming in this spring. Because he's the regular third baseman for the Giants. He won that job last year. 2-2. And he hits that one hard. That's pretty good hitting right there, and a tough pitch, but right to Goldschmidt. So a couple of hard hit balls into outs. We head to the second inning. No score.
The new 4-pack options, the opening day guarantees you a ticket to the home opener against the Dodgers and 3 other games starting at $199. And the Red Sox pack, which includes interleague games versus the Blue Jays, Orioles, and of course, the Red Sox starting at $99. Go to sfjazz.com/minipack for more information or how to purchase.
Hitting number 2, Wellington Castillo, veteran catcher, and he takes a ball inside. Castillo last year started the season with the Cubs, went to Seattle for a while, and ended up becoming a great pickup for the D-backs. That's in for a called strike, 1-1. He ended up hitting 19 home runs all told last year, but in half a year with the D-backs, he had 17 of them. He really filled a glaring hole in their lineup last year. Left center field hit well, and on the bounce handled by Hernandez. The throw in is offline, and a double for Castillo, the first hit of the day.
You know, talking about these uniforms that the Diamondbacks have, I think they're nice, but I think it depends on who's wearing them. I don't think it looks as good on Wellington Castillo as it looks on Reggie Sanders, the first base coach. Reggie Sanders, that's how it's supposed to look.
Well, Reggie, almost whatever uniform, whatever color, he always just looked great in a uniform.
He does.
Reggie, who played in the 2002 World Series with the Giants. Ricky Weeks now, former Brewer, and that's 0-1.
I always like the teammates that we would have that could screw up a uniform just by putting it on. And every team's got a couple of them. But Reggie Sanders, you take the worst looking uni in the history of the game and he could make it look good.
Reggie was a very strong player for a long time for many different teams, including the Giants. That's into the hole and into left field. Base hit. Castillo will stop at third as Pagan charges it, hits his cutoff man Duffy. First and third now with nobody out against Ty Block.
Now, this is what you want to see with a young pitcher. When an inning opens up and starts to go bad against him, how can he minimize the damage? so many tests that you have to pass as a young pitcher, young player. And for Ty Blach, this is one of them right here. He's going to get tested.
Brandon Drury out of the Arizona farm system. He got up to the big leagues late last year. Although last year he went from being one of the shining stars in their farm system to being somewhat of a question mark as that breaking ball misses. Because 2 years ago in the minor leagues between AA and AAA, he had hit 26 home runs, but he only hit 5 last year. He did hit .303 and had 40 doubles. But that's a big drop off. That's a base hit to right into the gap, and that's going to go through and might be 2 runs. Castillo has already scored. Here comes Weeks to third. He's going to stop, and after the big turnaround second, Drury will go back to second. A double and 1 run batted in, 1-0 Arizona.
Now they were talking about how hot Drury was coming into today's ball game, really having a great spring, and this really shows it. Ball breaking on the outside corner, identifies it, keeps the front shoulder locked in, and it drives it the opposite gap. This is a perfect at bat. Giants did well just to hold that to a 1-run base hit.
D-backs have had 3 straight hits to start the inning. They have a 1-0 lead. Here is Peter O'Brien.
Should be pitching for the strikeout here.
Infield lays back here in the second inning, and that is up and away.
I mean, Ty Blach does remind you of Dave Dravecky. It's uncanny. The delivery, the wind-up, I mean, everything about him is, it just brings back the image of Dave Dravecky, who I thought was one of the best competitive teammates I ever played with.
And that is ripped into left field, base hit. Ricky Weeks was tagging up at third base, and he hurries home as the throw comes into Duffy. Over to third goes Drury, 2-0 Arizona.
Now, speaking of Dave Dravecky, we take a look at his comeback game in 1989. Cancer in his left shoulder. They took out a huge tumor. And in that particular afternoon against the Cincinnati Reds, he was absolutely remarkable.
A day that will never be forgotten for anybody who was there or any Giants fan. Here's one at second after a good pickup by Panic, and Tomlinson completes the double play, doubling up Guerrero at first. However, Drury scores from third to make it 3-0 Arizona, now with 2 down.
Just a great example of soft hands to the backhand side from Joe Panic. And it has to be perfect. The ball was hit absolutely right on the screws. And Joe Panic makes it look quite easy, and it was not.
Joe Panic, who last year was playing Gold Glove caliber second base for that Giants all homegrown infield. And of course, the play he just turned right here, although it was an excellent play, Giants fans will never forget that incredible diving play that may have helped save that World Series for the Giants in Game 7 in Kansas City.
Yeah, that was the play of the series.
1-1 to Nick Ahmed. Ahmed, who hit .226 as the D-backs regular shortstop last year in his rookie season. Two and one. Tomorrow, the Jets will have another ball game here that will be televised in NBC Bay Area. Madison Bumgarner will start. It's a 3 o'clock start tomorrow. And Block ends the inning. But 4 straight hits to start the inning. The D-backs get 3 runs. Brandon Belt, Angel Pagan coming up. baseball? Log on to csnbayarea.com as insider Alex Pavlovich provides wire-to-wire reporting of the Giants season. With breaking news, video, special features, and much, much more, only on csnbayarea.com.
There's Alex. Concentrating, as always.
Well, he gives you great information. And it'd be good to put that on your iPad or your iPhone or whatever you've got. And have him ready for some quick reference, because these guys always has all the update news on the Giants.
Oh, he's definitely one of my go-to guys every day.
Brandon Belt has only had 5 at-bats all spring. He was down with the flu for a while. That one got into the seats in a hurry. Look out. Right behind the Arizona dugout.
Oh, it's very scary when that ball gets hit into seats behind the dugouts here at Scottsdale Stadium. You are on top of the action. And if you're sitting close to the field, you have to pay attention. Bring your glove, as always.
1-2 the count. Archie Bradley on the mound. And Belt still late in that Bradley fastball. Off to the left, onto the rooftop. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So Belt, in some ways, just barely getting started there. Although he's had 5 official at bats, he's also had 4 walks and was hit by a pitch. 2-2. And Belt is one of those guys, is, even though it's spring training, the D-backs are in the overshift. They've got 3 infielders to the right of second against him. Third base is undefended. 2-2. And he blew that fastball right by him.
It's good movement on that 2-seam fastball. It just moved all the way across the plate on Belt. Archie Bradley's not going to lack for stuff. I mean, he's got one of the best arms in the Diamondbacks franchise. Just 2-seam, and that thing almost looks like a flat left-handed cutter. That was nasty. It's a big key for the Diamondbacks right here. Archie Bradley.
Angel Pagan. Pagan played his first game here on Tuesday night on the CSN telecast. Got a base hit, his first at bat. 262 last year. He's trying to affect the comeback. He had some injury problems that slowed him down. And he badly fooled Pagan that time, did Bradley. 0-2.
Good changeup. Bradley had it going last year till about mid-May. He got hit in the face and had his right sinus fractured, and it really set him back. And I think it just altered his whole season.
Just well, that's pretty good pitching, though, right? Because he had him lunging for an off-speed pitch down and away.
Hard stuff away, soft stuff away, hard stuff in, moving that ball around beautifully. After the fractured sinus injury, he had tendonitis in his shoulder, and it kind of shut him down.
2-2. Adrian Johnson back at the plate. Jerry Davis at first, Brian Gorman at second, couple of veterans, and Chris Guccione, he's a veteran himself over at third base. Down the left field line, base hit. So Pagan, who's running well, and running, I think, better than most of last year. He had a procedure on his right knee during the offseason. He has a double.
All right, time now for McDonald's True Stories. We go back to the Reds game last Tuesday when Jared Parker stepped up against Anthony DeSclafani and does this. Launches it into right center field. Berms here at Scottsdale Stadium. Big swing of the bat. Giants scored 16 runs that night. And that is our McDonald's True Stories.
Jared Parker And that one's breaking ball off the inside. Parker has had 6 hits, 25 at bats with a homer, a double, that homer that you saw just a moment ago. Last year it hit .347 for the Giants. 54 plate appearances in September. And he got up earlier in the season for a brief time, but it was in September where he put it all together, especially in a span of just a few days.
Well, his first appearance at the big league level, he looked overmatched, and they sent him back down. And when he got called back up, he said, you know what, I'm going to be more aggressive. And turned things around, including a 3-homer game against the A's. I mean, he was the talk of baseball there for a while. 3
homers, 7 RBIs in one game over in Oakland. Pagan holding at second. The ball was blocked by Castillo. 2-1 the count. The last time any Giant had as many as 3 homers and as many as 7 RBIs in the same game, his name was Willie Mays. So not easy to do. Parker had 6 home runs in those 54 plate appearances. 3-1. Parker has always, I guess really the knock on him has been is that he tends to strike out way too often. Even in those 54 plate appearances last year in the big leagues, with all the success he had, he did strike out 21 times. 3-1. Pagan at second. Up the middle. Base hit. That will be an RBI. Pagan racing home. Scoring easily. Goldschmidt cutting the ball off. 3-1. Arizona now with the Giants cutting into the lead immediately.
That's how you take advantage. Count leverage. Look for a location, look for a movement, look for a speed, get it, go right back up the middle. Not a greedy at bat at all. But definitely one that a hitting instructor and a manager will remember. Team down by 3 runs, and you all of a sudden come up with a knock that scores a run. That's good at bat, especially when you're trying to make a club.
So Jarrett Parker gets his 5th RBI this spring, his 7th hit. Andrew Susac now. And Parker had to dive quickly back to the bag there. Goldschmidt on the bag with him.
Susac a much different hitter this spring than we saw last year. Last year, a hand injury really it alters your style of hitting. You're up there. You don't have both hands. You're hitting around pain. Not happening this spring.
0-1.
Batting practice from the Giants is pretty fun. A lot of guys can hit the ball in the ballpark, and Andrew Susac can hit the ball as far as anybody. He had good power. I mean, we're talking foul pole to foul pole, too.
Susac showed me the scar from the surgery that he had last September in San Francisco. He had a broken bone in his wrist, his right wrist, his throwing hand. And he said about 6 weeks later it was all healed up and he was able to resume normal baseball types of activity. And it's 1-2. So he had really a normal offseason in spite of that surgery. And although he hadn't hit a whole lot so far this spring, 3 hits, one of them a double, one a homer. And the ball will jump off his bat. The wind is blowing straight out towards center field now here at Scottsdale Stadium. And Parker diving back to the bag. A quick move there by Archie Bradley. You see the flags on center field. Andrew Susac up in the big video board in left field, above all the fans sitting on the grassy hillside out there. Just off the inside. 2-2 now to Susac. Susac became an important player for the Giants when he came up back in 2014. He wasn't there that long. He only had 88 official at bats. But he hit with power, did some slugging and did an excellent job back of the plate. And fought that one off. 2-2. But last year, Susac did not have the same success, and he had injury problems. And here in Arizona, back in July, he made a head-first slide going for a triple and sprained a ligament and some muscles in his right thumb with that head-first slide. That put him on the shelf for a while. Also had a partial ligament tear.
Well, you know, as a player, that injuries are part of the game. And it'll happen to everybody. You play long enough. But when it happens to you, especially when you're a young player, it changes you. And it changes you in a way where, you just think, well, is that what's going to happen to me now? Am I going to start having injuries? Are they going to start stacking up? Before you have an injury, you play and you're absolutely carefree. You don't even think about injuries. But after you have one, a significant one like he had, I mean, it'll change you the rest of your career.
There goes Parker. Ahmed, who had started to break towards second, throws out Susac. So Parker over to second with 2 down. Well, sometimes when guys get hurt, a lot of people start wondering, is that something we're going to see now? Does he get injury prone? Here's Tomlinson. But so I guess what you're saying is that if you're the guy, it's a downer. Something you hadn't thought about happening because you've been healthy all the time.
It really is. But it's pretty cool though if you get better and you get your body back. It is like you got your gift back.
Kelby Tomlinson 0-1.
And when it happens, when you do get your gift back, you never ever take it for granted again. Every manager in every big league camp across the United States right now is saying the same thing. Our success depends on our health. We stay healthy, we're going to have a good year. And that is true.
Tomlinson has been playing a lot of shortstop this spring because Brandon Crawford, his shoulder a little tender early on. Crawford has not played a whole lot of shortstop yet, although he started this week.
That's amazing how we think of him as a second baseman because we saw him at second base last year when he replaced Joe Panik, who was injured. But he was signed as a shortstop. Most of his minor league experience was at the shortstop position. I mean, he really was learning the second base position in the big leagues last year.
He really was. And he really improved dramatically the longer he was here. Ron Wotus, Giants infield coach, spent a lot of long hours with him, and Tomlinson was a great pupil, willing to put the time in. Because he looked like a guy that was extremely uncomfortable at second base when he first got here. And by the last few weeks, he had done an excellent job. Maybe not a Gold Glove caliber, but very solid out there.
Well, absolutely better than average.
And he gets a walk.
Nice at bat. Keep the line moving, as Bruce Bochy likes to say. So with the walk, Wellington Castillo, the catcher for the D-backs, coming out to talk to Archie Bradley.
So Garvin Alston, who is the pitching coach, the D-backs have a split squad. Their regular manager, Chip Hale, and many of his coaches are up at Salt River Fields. By the way, we have a clock now. We saw that clock starting last year between innings, for the timing between innings to keep the game moving at a good clip. Now there's a 30-second limit for a visit to the mound.
Well, it's not that big of an issue at AT&T Park, but if you're an older pitching coach and you've had a few leg injuries, like a lot of them have had.
If you're one, DeGorkis Hernandez.
If you're in Oakland, you're in trouble. Because from the dugout to the mound in Oakland, that's about a 100-yard dash.
So you get 20 seconds just to get to the foul line.
That's unbelievable. Stay tuned as that story develops.
Marquis Hernandez. Denard Span has not played center field yet. Pagan has been moved to left field. So Marquis Hernandez has played a lot of center field so far. Throw to first by Castillo. Tomlinson is safely back to the bag. They executed a pickoff play there.
If you talk to Dave Dravecki about the 30-second rule, he is not a happy camper.
Dave Righetti?
He says there's not enough time.
You got to get out there and get back within 30 seconds, and then you have to impart your wisdom in the middle.
It's going to be short wisdom this year. Very short wisdom.
Get it over. Get it over, kid.
Do better. You're killing me.
Marquis Hernandez is hitting .381 for the spring. Parker at second. Tomlinson at first. The Giants are trailing 3-1. He chased. Helped him out a little bit there. 2-2.
But I do think that rule is going to be amended. I don't think it's realistic. Make jump up to 40, 45 seconds.
Denard Span, the leadoff man, is on deck. Up the middle with the dive, Owings. And did he get him? Yes, he did. Just barely. The shortstop Ahmed covering to force out Kelby Tomlinson. Well done by Owings. Top of the order coming up with Goldschmidt due up third. It is 3-1 Arizona.
On CSN Bay Area is brought to you by AAA. Get an insurance quote from AAA by March 31st, and you'll get a free carry-all tote. Restrictions apply. Go to AAA branch for details.
I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow. Dwayne Kuiper is on assignment. CSN Bay Area in the desert, a Cactus League friendly. The Giants and the D-backs. Top of the order for Arizona against left-hander Ty Block. Chris Owings, who grounded a short his first time, leads off. Ball one with Socrates Brito on deck and Paul Goldschmidt due up third. It won't be friendly in the regular season, that's for sure, between these clubs. The National League, the D-backs, have made a lot of moves since last season to fortify themselves for a run at the pennant.
Well, they have a good club. National League West this year is going to be very competitive, and I think you're going to see some great baseball coming out of the National League West.
And that changeup is too low. 2-0 the count. One thing we know for sure, the Giants figure they hit well this year. They hit well last year, even with some injury trouble to some of their top hitters, which made a a very happy man, the Giants hitting instructor, Hensley Bam Bam Mullins. And Hensley, what about this team? What are you seeing from these guys this year?
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. Well, the guys are healthy. They're prepared. They're in shape. And right now we're just working and getting time and getting ready for the season.
So when you're the hitting coach in the spring, are you coaching that aspect of it now? What is it different in the springtime than the regular season for you?
It's a little bit different because the guys have been away from the grind every day, and they do work on their craft in the off season to better themselves. But now you have a schedule. You go daily in the mornings. You have guys coming out of the cage working from 7:30 on until about 9:30 when they have to stretch. So that's about 2 hours of working with guys individually. In the cage, I'm on the backfield myself so they can see ball flight. So I take 4, 5, sometimes 8 guys out there so they can see ball flight. They work on their teamwork, the flip work, and then we do some other drills with the screen drills so they can work on pulling the balls and stuff like that. So and then I put the machine on to incorporate speed, velocity. So all that stuff is being done right now that you do a little less during the season. Right now, you want guys some getting their hands strong and things like that.
That ball is hit deep by Brito, and it's a home run up onto the hillside in right center field. 5-1 Arizona. Socrates Brito, a very highly thought of prospect for the D-backs, and we'll be seeing a lot of him in the regular season. And we just saw why. So it's 5-1.
Remember, Brito struck out his first at bat on a breaking ball. They set up the outside corner. And this is a lazy breaking ball that lays right middle in, just above the knee. And this is a mistake, and this is how you beat mistakes. Not a lot of swing there either from Brito. You can see how compact he is, why the D-backs like him. And Bam, as Paul Goldschmidt steps in here, I mean, that's one of the things about the Giants, all these young hitters we see, they have a similar approach. They don't have a lot of swing. They're not afraid to hit with 2 strikes, and they use the whole field. And that is your philosophy as a teacher?
Yes, well, as you know, since my first year here through now, the personnel has changed a little bit. We went from guys like Uribe and Rennery and Huff and Rowan and DeRosa to that great major league careers, but now we have guys like Panik and Duffy and Posey and Crawford, Bell. These guys are having a great start of their careers, and it's a little bit different. They put the ball in play more. It's a little bit more simple with them, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to work with. It's like you said, they're not afraid to have a strike or 2 on them, and because they know they can put the ball in play, and we've shown that over the last couple of years.
Here's Wellington Castillo with 1 out as Goldschmidt has been retired. Hensley Bam Bam Mullins, the Giants hitting instructor, is with us, and Bam Bam, the sort of the outline you drew of all of the different things that go on during the spring for these hitters. Long before the game ever starts. Is that a little bit different than years ago, say when you were first coming up in the minor leagues and then into the big leagues?
Yeah, John, everything is different. The game has evolved, from show up out of shape, try to get in shape in camp, to now, if you come to camp out of shape, you're going to be behind. You're going to have a good chance to get hurt. But you have to adjust to all of that stuff as an instructor, and we do. We get here at 6. Most days we're here through 5 or 6 in the afternoon, so that's pretty much a 12-hour day. But it's well worth it because of the results we've been getting. Putting in the time and make sure you're paying attention to all the details, not missing anything. There was a lot of guys in camp. We got 30-some hitters here. So it takes time to go through all of it and make sure that you're not missing anything. And that's why it's different nowadays.
As Ricky Weeks stepped in, Bam, I want to ask you about some of the young hitters you like. Can you give us a couple of names to look for in the future?
Well, how can you miss Arroyo? This guy stepped in the box every time and taken the swing up there like he's been in the big leagues for 10 years, and then it's fun to watch. I don't know how long it's going to take him to get here, but he's sure it's opening some eyes, and it's opened my eyes. He was here last year, but he didn't get as many at-bats as he's getting this spring, and you can tell he's a year older. You can tell he had a great year last year. He had a great fall league. So it was a very confident guy with a chip in his shoulder, and we love to see that. You know, our two guys that were up last year are swinging the bats good, Parker and Williamson. And, you know, they're holding their own. They're trying to make the team. You know, the taste they got last year, you know, they wanted to stay in the big leagues. They don't want to go back, so they're doing everything in their powers to stay up here. You know, we just saw Parker line a base hit up the middle. He had two good at-bats yesterday where he hit the ball hard to the opposite field after pulling off some balls the prior game. So those two guys are on track. I like what Ryder Jones has come up here and done, and the guy that played the A-ball last year, left-handed hitting power third baseman, doing everything we asked him to do, making some adjustments here in spring training in order to have a good year in minor leagues this year, and he's hit the ball hard every time he's gotten out there.
And Hunter Pence, he just got back into action yesterday as Ricky Weeks drills one up the middle for a base hit, the second hit of the day already for the veteran Ricky Weeks, and now the rookie Drury will come up. But I was talking with Mike Krukow, and Pence struck out his first time yesterday, and swing maybe was a little long. He looked like a guy who kind of suffered a little bit with the layoff, maybe a little bit rusty. But then the second at bat, different story. He crushed one, maybe a 450-foot home run.
Well, you know, you guys know how, you know, he was pretty geeked up playing that game yesterday, and it showed that first at bat. He chased the ball that was kind of chin high, 3-2 count. It was actually ball 4, but he swung at it. But then he made an adjustment in the second at bat and hit the ball almost out of the ballpark over that hill back there. So that's how much we missed that guy last year, and hopefully he can stay healthy this year and provide us with that all year.
Bam Bam Mulens, many thanks. Enjoyed it. Good job. 5-1 Arizona. That's the third. Denard Span takes a strike. He fouled out to third his first time. Facing Archie Bradley. 5-1 Arizona leading. The wind has really picked up now and blowing hard out toward right field. A little earlier, the previous inning was blowing straight out toward center. So it's fluctuating a little bit, but blowing out toward the Four Peaks right now. The flag's out in center. The McDowell Mountains off in the distance. Over the outside. 1-2. And then the Four Peaks out beyond right field. The wind would have to be a little bit stronger to actually get one to the Four Peaks. But we've seen it, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, a couple times. Barry Bonds. Batting practice.
Covey used to do it. 2-2. Denard Span, he'll hit a home run every once in a while, but he mainly is a guy who makes contact Hit 300 last year, even with all the injury problems with which he was afflicted. And back out of play. And if you're a mom, you have to love Denard Span. He said that a big moment for him as a hitter that helped him become a perennial 300 hitter was his mom saying, Denard, sweetheart, when you get to 2 strikes, you got to shorten up a little bit.
Yeah. You know, we met his mother at the town hall meeting early in the year, and I totally believe that story.
One away. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, tickets to both Irish Heritage Nights at AT&T Park this season are now available for only $17. The Irish Nights include April 25th against the Padres. You get an Irish Giants t-shirt. And August 15th against the Pirates, receive an Irish Giants scarf for just that $17 ticket. Visit sfgiants.com/St. Pats to purchase tickets. Offer ends March 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day. And we thank you. 1 strike to Joe Paddock, who lined out to third his first time. And that's a ball outside. You know, you were talking about the first time you get an injury and how that changes you when you're a player.
Yes.
Well, Joe Paddock, he got that injury last year.
Don't think for 1 second that wasn't on his mind when he put that uniform on for the first time this spring.
Up the middle, base hit.
I don't care who you are, an injury will change you, but it doesn't change a swing. And for Joe Paddock, who has just been on a tear this whole week, ever since he has found his swing, he shortened things up, he has got a better definition of the strike zone, he's been laying out one rope after another.
Paddock had that inflammation in his lower back, but this spring revealed that, as it turned out, he had a broken bone in there. And that's healed up, and he has no problems whatsoever. But when we were hearing inflammation, Joe Paddock, obviously injured for the first time and concerned about it. But a lot of people were wondering, wow, I hope that isn't something that's just going to keep happening over and over again.
Well, you're right. I mean, a chronic injury, how many careers have we seen altered by chronic pain? And it is a concern, especially one that is an injury that puts you on the shelf for a prolonged time.
1-1 the count. But as it being a cracked bone, Paddock is not concerned with it at all. He doesn't feel like that's something that will keep coming up. It's healed up and he's ready to go. So good as new. Here's Matt Duffy, who hit a line drive right to Goldschmidt at his first time. He's 0 for 1. Along the right field line. And there is Guerrero. Number 2, so Duffy. Duffy's hit the ball hard both times, but has nothing to show for it. Here is Brandon Belt hitting cleanup today. Giants have another team playing down in Tempe against the Angels right now. Gregor Blanco, Brandon Crawford, Mac Williamson, ARI AT SFN. Jake Peavy's pitching down there. There's some of the Giants players with which you may be familiar. Trevor Brown, the young catchers over there. Brandon Crawford tripled home a run in the first inning of that game. Brandon Belt, who struck out, and he looked a little overpowered by that Bradley fastball his first time up. 1 ball, no strikes to count to him. Pagan is on deck. One
of the big keys for the Giants this year is right here. Keeping this guy healthy. Giants think if he gets a healthy season, he can finally reach the number potential everybody thought he's capable of. 25 plus homers, 100 plus RBIs.
For the games he did play last year, his numbers were excellent. He had a .478 slugging percentage. That's heavy duty. That's some genuine slugging. .358 on base percentage. He's always had an excellent on base average. High lazy fly right center. Guerrero, the right fielder. And that's all for Belt and the Giants. 1 hit, 1 left. On to the 4th inning. The Giants are trailing Arizona 5-1.
Tonight, 7:30 p.m. You get an hour-long pregame live at 6:30 p.m. We'll see it right here in CSN Bay Area. Back-to-back games for the Warriors as they face the Suns. Complete pre- and post-game coverage. Plus, log on to csnbayarea.com for Warriors Insider Monty Pool. Available to stream live on csnbayarea.com and NBC Live Extra. The amazing story that is the Warriors. What a year they're having.
Here's Santiago Casilla, who has been laid low with the flu. This is his Cactus League debut in 2016. And he started Peter O'Brien, the young slugger, with a curveball. 1 ball and no strikes. Casilla, the Giants closer. The ball is a foul. Deep and fouled on the left field line. 1-1.
Take a look at the numbers for Santiago Casilla last year. An outstanding season. 1-0 with a 2.70 ERA. In 58 innings, he had 62 strikeouts against 23 walks. Just a solid season with 38 saves.
The only part that you raise an eyebrow about his season last year is that left-handed hitters hit pretty well against him. That's back out of play as both Duffy from third, Tomlinson from short came over. 1-2 the count to O'Brien, who hit 26 home runs in the minor leagues last year. But Casilla in the past was always pretty successful no matter the kind of hitter, whether it was a lefty or a righty. He was, but last year, for the first time in a while, he struggled, especially early on, quite a bit against left-handed hitters.
Well, he's got 5 different types of movement. He'll give you a fastball that he'll 2- and 4-seam that go anywhere between 92 to 96 miles per hour. He's got a curveball, slider, and a changeup. So he's got 5 weapons. And there aren't many closers that can say that they have 5 different pitches. Usually closers 2 pitches, seldom or occasionally a third, but this guy's got 5 good weapons he can use.
And that is all for O'Brien.
With a cutter, perfect location.
In the booth next to us over on KMBR and the Giants radio network and that's Sean Estes, former 19-game winner for the Giants on the left, and Doug Greenwald, the voice of the Fresno Grizzlies, and Doug does all the Giants games on the sfgiants.com in the spring that are not on KNBR. And of course, Doug, who grew up around the Giants, his dad, Hank Greenwald, the legendary voice of the Giants for many, many years. And when you hear Doug, and I like to tune him in on the webcast, there's a lot of what Doug does. It sounds a lot like his dad. A lot of his dad and his voice.
A lot of similarities. Doug does a fantastic job.
Yeah, Sean, that's it. Tell Sean to move over a little bit. Quit hiding, Sean, will you? Sean S. is 1997. He was a 19-game winner for the Giants.
A lot of similarities in Gabby Guerrero, the hitter. He's the nephew of Vladimir Guerrero. Tall hitter. No batting gloves.
Well, and he looks a lot like him, doesn't he?
And he can hit. I mean, he's had some really good years as he's come up through the minor leagues. I mean, a couple of years ago, in 2014.
Just under the glove of Casilla. Base hit to center.
Guerrero had 18 home runs, 96 RBIs. So clearly a guy that they think is going to be a big leaguer and a good one. Let's take a look at the style. I mean, really, a little step in the bucket. He gets the ball away. And Vladimir Guerrero was as unorthodox a hitter as we've ever seen. And there was not a place you could throw it where he couldn't barrel it. If he hit a ball an inch off the ground, he could hit a ball 6 inches over his head.
Guerrero at first, Belt on the bag with him.
Think Vladimir Guerrero should be a Hall of Famer?
Well, there was a time where I thought he was a sure thing to be a Hall of Famer, or for being a Hall of Famer. Because he can do everything. And he was such a raw talent when he came up. You know, he came up about the same time as did Andrew Jones with Atlanta. Of course, Andrew Jones is on a team with a lot of veteran stars. And Vlad Guerrero came up with Montreal, and he was the savior of the team, the guy, when he was still a raw rookie. He didn't have all that veteran presence around him. But he had one of the great arms in the game, and yet he was erratic with his throwing. He had enormous power, and yet he tended to swing wildly a lot of bad pitches and strike out a lot. And yet he still hit 300 and hit 35, 40 home runs. And I asked Felipe Alou about him, because Felipe was his manager when he first came up in Montreal. And I said, what if Vladdy came up with Atlanta instead? And he just said, there's no question, that would have been a lot better for him. To be surrounded by some great talent already and not have to be the savior, to hit seventh in the order or something like that when he first came up, while he's learning the game, and to have some of these guys around him to learn from. But I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he belongs.
Bad Vlad, they used to call him in Montreal.
Bad Vlad. And he was fun to watch.
There goes Gabby Guerrero. And pretty good throw, but off the glove. That one was sailing a little bit away from Paddock and right into the runner. And it's a steal for Guerrero.
Nice release time from Andrew Susac, but you can see the ball, how little tail running away from Joe Panik. If Joe Panik catches that ball, Guerrero slides right into the glove and he's out. And what causes that type of movement on a ball from a catcher throwing to second base is when the catcher takes his step and his back foot, his right foot, will swing on the third base side of his left foot, and he throws across his body, and that causes the movement. Ideally, you would like to have a perfect straight line from your back foot to your left foot as you stride towards your target second base. If you overstep it with your back foot, then all of a sudden your ball's going to have movement.
Back to the screen. 2-2 to Ahmed. Joe Panik almost got the put out. Gabby Guerrero. That was another thing that Vladimir Guerrero had. He had great speed. You can steal a bag. Spins that one into the dirt outside. Nice save there by Susac, keeping Guerrero at second. He's 3-2. I always remember Vladdy Guerrero was very happy in Montreal, even though that was the day, or those were the days where nobody went to the games in Montreal because the fans said, well, they're not even trying to win. And we all go down to the subway that was right beneath the old Olympic Stadium there, take the subway back to the hotel. And we go down and we're waiting on the platform. Here comes Vlad Guerrero with his mom and his girlfriend and his younger brother, Wilton. Or I guess maybe that was his older brother, whoever it was. And he was a family guy. His mom came and she cooked for him. And one of the reasons he ended up signing with the Angels eventually as a free agent is because they had a large community of people from the Dominican Republic near the Anaheim ballpark for his mom, so she could live there. And she would cook for the whole team, all the Latin players. But he felt it was a good community for her. 3-2 the count.
You can see as Guerrero gets to second base, there was contact made with the left hand of Joe Panik. His knee kind of rolled the wrist back. And he's out there taking a little inventory. Cannot be afraid of contact if you're a middle infielder.
Ahmed lunging at that one. Brandon Belt on number 2.
Any pop-up right now is not an easy play the way the sky is today. This morning there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And the high sky of Arizona is always problematic for fly balls and pop-ups. And you can see that the shadows behind the defense is, I mean, it's right in their face. If you're playing in the middle of this field, shortstop, second base, or in center field, you're looking right into it. Get a little bit of a break on the corners, but still, it's a tough play.
Chris Owings, the leadoff man. That one ricochets away from Susac, and Gabby Guerrero over to third.
Looked like Susac may have been crossed up a bit. And he got glove tied. And when you're expecting a breaking ball and you get a fastball, watch his glove. So it gets kind of twisted around. He's anticipating a breaking ball, and he got a fastball. If he knows that fastball is coming, he blocks that ball. It was not that difficult of a block.
When a catcher gets crossed up, doesn't it seem like when the ball gets away, a runner advances, that it should always be called a wild pitch?
Oh, every time.
Two and 0.
You know, with as hard as these guys can throw a baseball, if you're looking something soft, curveball, slider, changeup, and you get a 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, I mean, not only is it tough to catch, but you could really seriously get hurt.
In there for a strike. 2-1 now to Owings, who has grounded out to short and walked and scored a run.
And I don't think there's any way you can put a pass ball on a guy that doesn't know what's coming.
Well, that one bounced in the dirt, so it was easy for the official score to rule it a wild pitch. But sometimes the guy gets crossed up and hits his glove first and bounces away, and he'll get charged with a pass ball.
Good two-seam fastball there from Casilla. That really has become a good weapon for Casilla. And he'll get strikeouts with it. That's how much movement he has with it. But also it serves him well when he's trying to pitch for a ground ball.
2-2. 2 down, runner at third. Socrates Brito, who homered his last time, is out on deck. Three and 2. The other Giants team is in a 3-3 tie with the Angels in the third inning over in Tempe. At least that's the last report we had from over there. Jake Peavy gave up a home run to Albert Pujols, who's back in the lineup. Look at that. Strike 3 call.
Good breaking ball.
Guerrero stranded. Pagan coming up.
SFN Bay Area is brought to you by the law offices of Stephen Moskowitz. Aggressive, accessible, experienced tax lawyers. Call Moskowitz LLP at 888-TAX-DEAL.
In the desert, the Sonoran Desert. From Scottsdale, Giants trailing the Arizona Diamondbacks 5-1. Scottsdale Stadium, which is just jam-packed today. Well, it's a cooler day. It's been back up in the 80s here during the week, but today's 66 degrees at game time, and the forecast high only 72 degrees. As Wesley Wright, the guy's been around a while. Last year was with the Orioles and the Angels in the American League a little bit. I remember him with the Houston Astros a few years ago.
He's got good stuff. I mean, his fastball low 90s, really good curveball. He's also got a pretty good slider. In his 7th year at the big league level.
Two 2-0 the count to Pagan. Pagan, after falling behind on the count against the right-hander Bradley, tucked one in right along the left field line for a double back in the 2nd inning, and later scored the Giants' run. Now batting right-handed against this new Arizona lefty, and that's at the knees for a called strike. 2-1.
It's always been one of the concerns as a hitter. Guys work so hard on their swing. But if you're a switch hitter, I mean, you've got 2 swings you got to figure out. Spring training's a little different for guys who are switch hitters.
Hit hard, but right to Ahmed. One away.
Kept his hands back well there.
Jared Parker will come up now. Pagan, who he said it was not surgery. He thought he'd had some surgery on that right knee that had given him a lot of trouble last year. But he corrected me. He said, no, it wasn't surgery. It was a procedure. And I said, a procedure? You mean like a shot? He said, no, not a shot, a procedure.
Like a surgical procedure?
So I looked it up. It was called a 10X procedure. And it's very fascinating to Google it, because they make a very small incision, and it's really not invasive, though, and it's a little bit different than the arthroscopic kind of a surgical procedure. But it basically is to remove scar tissue, from what I could see. And he said it only took 10 or 15 minutes. He had maybe a 1 to 2 month recovery period, and then he said he went on his normal way for his off-season conditioning after that. So it's kind of fascinating to find that out. But everybody that I talked to said, well, isn't that surgery? But then when you look it up, it's called the 10X procedure.
Wow. If that happened to me, I'd put it in the surgery column. Seriously.
Me too. I'd milk it. I had a little off-season surgery. Put me on the show. That's all for Jared Parker, called strike 3.
I mean, you go see a doctor, they put you on the table, and they do a procedure, and you're out 1 to 2 months. That's a surgery. I'm sorry.
No, this sounded like he was sitting on an easy chair, and the guy came in and sat on a little stool, and Angel was just reading a magazine. So maybe that's the difference. 2 down. Andrew Susak is up now. Anyway, whatever it was a very modern kind of a procedure, surgical procedure, perhaps, and apparently very effective. And he'd been running very well this spring. Susak grounded a short his first time. The Giants are down 5-1 here in the 4th inning. That ball is hit well. Left center field, racing back Brito. He'll have to chase it down. Right to the base of the wall, kind of stuck in against the base there. A double for Susak.
Well, you're getting some help right now with the way the wind is blowing in this ballpark. You get a ball between the gaps, you're going to get some carry. Little breaking ball, he measures correctly. Boom. Finds a gap. There's a gap over the head of every outfielder. It goes from foul pole to foul pole. There you see the stiff breeze that's going from home plate right out to center field.
Tomlinson, deep left center. One hop to the wall. Susak in to score. A double for Tomlinson. 5-2 Arizona. Little thunder for the Giants here after 2 are down. On consecutive pitches, both Susak and Tomlinson clobber the ball.
Now he's jumping on the first pitch. Look at location, look at pitch, look at middle end, and gets what he's looking for. And very quickly, a little 2-out thunder here for the Giants.
Gorkis Hernandez now. He grounded into a force out his first time.
It's great. Last night I was hosting the Giants vacation dinner, and we had a question and answer with Kelby Tomlinson and Jared Parker and Jeffrey Leonard. And one of the questions was to Jeffrey Leonard about the one flap down home run that he had in the '87 playoffs against the Cardinals. And he talked about the story about it. And then they talked to Jared Parker about, talk about your home run trot. And then he got around to Kelby Tomlinson about his home run trot. He says, well, I don't really have one because every time I hit a ball, I don't trust that it's going to go out. So I'm trying to get a double. I don't ever really get a home run trot till I get about halfway to third base. And he does have one of the fastest home run trots in all of baseball.
And Tomlinson, who'd hit very well for the Giants last year, there he is at second base. And he hit 2 home runs. Although it seems to me that the first one that actually left the ballpark was a grand slam.
It was.
The second one, though, talk about a home run trot, it was an inside the Parker. It was a home run sprint.
Watch how quickly he gets out of the box. He's got outstanding speed. Just sort of leans that head to the infield. Helps you in making that turn at first base. And his only thought when he leaves the base, when he leaves the batter's box, is to get a triple. And only the third base coach is going to stop you from doing it. And that's the mindset you should have.
Bloop. Owings gets to it. Gorkis Hernandez is denied. Tomlinson who was off and running on that little blue, is stranded. 5-2 Arizona. Goldschmidt will be coming up.
They'll be at AT&T Park the weekend of April 22nd through the 24th. And Friday, April 22nd, the first 20,000 fans will receive a 2 flaps down cap presented by River Rock Casino. Nat Duffy bobbleheads presented by PG&E to the first 40,000 fans on Saturday. And then on Sunday the 23rd, the first 7,500 kids 14 and under will receive a Joe Panic backpack courtesy of C's Candies. You want tickets? Go to sfgiants.com/tickets.
Here we go into the 5th inning, and Hunter Strickland comes in to pitch now for the Giants, the hard-throwing right-hander, in relief of Santiago Casilla. Socrates Brito hit a 2-run homer to deep right center in the 3rd, will lead off. And then Paul Goldschmidt, the veteran slugger, is on deck. That will go out of play off the third base side.
Take a look at the numbers for Strickland this spring in 4 games. 5 strikeouts, no walks in 4 innings. 4 hits allowed. You're going to see a high velocity fastball that goes anywhere from 95 to 99 miles per hour. 2 types of movement, hard slider. He's got a split. Big guy, 6'4", 220, 27 years old, out of Griffin, Georgia.
1 ball, 1 strike. I asked him if he'd come up with any new pitches or had been working on anything new, and he said, no, I'm still trying to polish and refine the stuff that I've got. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. And he's got some pretty nasty stuff.
He's got some of the best stuff on the team. And what makes him unique is that he's got a very compact motion and a delivery that allows him to pitch on both sides of the plate with that high velocity.
Popped up. Here is Matt Duffy. He was shading the eyes against the harsh glare of the sun, and the wind started carrying that one, and he had to kind of travel a circuitous route to get to that one.
It's just not a comfortable play.
So 1 away, and here is Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie. And he has become one of the most feared sluggers in the game.
Great player. Every part of his game is all-star quality. Hit with power, hit with average, fast, steal you a base, Gold Glove first baseman. He's the real deal.
There's a little slider in the outside, strike two.
Two back-to-backs, breaking balls, perfect location. I don't think Goldschmidt was looking breaking ball either one of those times.
0-2. Ooh. Now, where did that one miss?
Well, it didn't. He just didn't get the call. Adrian Johnson, plate umpire, he can have a small strike zone, but usually it's early in the game. Usually as the game wears on, his zone will get a little bit bigger. But basically, he is a low ball preference umpire. You get more knees than belts.
A ball and 2 strikes. Struck him out.
The second stage velocity. Rare that you see a 4-pitch at bat throwing to Goldschmidt where he gets blown away with a fastball and a 2-strike count. And this ball was just by him.
Well, we don't have the radar gun working today, but that may have been one of those 97, 98 mile an hour heaters.
Oh, I'd bet a paycheck on it. To get one past Goldschmidt, you better bring some heat.
Now Wellington Castillo hitting cleanup for the Arizona split squad today. And ball down and away with the breaking ball. 1 ball, no strikes.
You know, the one thing about hard throwers, when you start talking about their breaking balls, a tendency to overthrow it, and they throw their slider through the break, and you don't give that pitch a chance to break. And one thing Strickland has really tried to make a conscious effort of this spring is to not overthrow the breaking ball. And he's throwing some dandies here in this inning. Through 2 to Goldschmidt, that you can't throw any better. And here, in a 1-0 count, he snaps one off against Castillo.
And now he powers one right by him. The high hard one, 1-2.
Hey, Brigetti, the Giants pitching coach, he does not like to put up speeds and velocities of pitches during spring training because he doesn't want guys overthrowing. And if you watch the way that Strickland is throwing now in his rhythm, he is definitely in control, not overthrowing anything.
Jared Parker in right field, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down against 3 excellent hitters for Hunter Strickland. Top of the order, Span coming up.
At Providence.
Training schedule when you'll see the Giants on CSN and NBC Bay Area. Tomorrow will be on NBC Bay Area. The Giants take on the Padres here. That's a 3 o'clock start tomorrow. Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead tonight before you go to bed. And on Monday, it's not listed right here, but this Monday, the 14th, the Giants at A's, and that'll be on NBC, or rather on CSN California. I don't even know what that is. You ever heard of that one?
Nope.
Anyway, he may try to find. It's also going to be in the Giants KMBR radio network Monday night. This coming Friday, the Giants and Padres on NBC Bay Area at 7 o'clock. And the 19th, the Giants and A's back here on CSN Bay Area. And on down the list. So I guess really more Giants television from the Cactus League than ever before this spring. Here's Denard Span against the new pitcher, Hessler. Stockily built left-hander. Keith Hessler.
Big guy, 6'4", 240. See what he's done this spring.
Scooting to his left. Owings gets it and throws out Span, who is 0 for 3.
Hessler got to the big leagues last year. Hit 3 levels. Went from Visalia to Mobile to Reno, AAA affiliate, and then wound up in the big leagues with the Diamondbacks. 2 types of fastball, 2 types of breaking ball, curveball and a slider. Early in his career was a starter, and now he's found a niche in the bullpen, and they got him in the big leagues.
Joe Panik hit the ball hard twice. He lined out to third and then singled his last time. He's 1 for 2. 5-2, Arizona leading the Giants for the last of the 5th inning. Joe Panik with Matt Duffy on deck. That ball is smoked. Right center field, deep. 2 bounces to the wall. Panik's going to keep going. The relay to Owings. The throw to third. A triple.
Another bullet off the bat of Joe Panik. And we're going to make it our forward right choice. Mistake to location. He gets the ball up, and right now the way that Panik is swinging and the way he's seeing it, he is not going to miss a location mistake. And that gap that we're talking about over the heads of the outfielders from the foul line to the foul line, well, Joe Panik just finds it. And a slide in 3-bagger. Our forward right choice.
So Panik's second triple of the week. And Duffy is fooled on that off-speed delivery. 0-1. Duffy is lined out to first and flied out to right. Hit the ball hard twice.
Pure strikeout situation here. Really, you think, well, it's a 3-run lead for the D-backs, but if you're trying to make a club and you're a left-hander facing a number 3 hitter who's right-handed with a runner at third and less than 2 outs, you're trying to strike that guy out. It's a spring training situation, but you're looking for ways to impress as a young pitcher. Here's how you can do it.
So Duffy trying to get that run home. Joe Panik hit the triple here, almost the same spot as his triple today on Tuesday night against the Reds, against a right-hander, DeSclafani, and now against a lefty here, Hessler. Blocked in the dirt by Castillo, the catcher. 2-1. Brandon Belt is on deck. Giants are down 5-2. Duffy, even with a ground ball to one of the middle infielders, could make it 5-3 here. That's his job. He's got to get him home with less than 2 down. Doesn't have to necessarily get a hit to do it. Up the middle, he gets the hit and the RBI. Panik in to score. 5-3 Arizona.
You know, the one thing that just jumps off the page with this effort is just the control of the bat head. And that was what was so impressive with Duffy last year, is he established himself as a guy that can hit for average at the big league level. He controls the bat head. He is such a difficult hitter to face with runners at third base and less than 2 outs, because he puts the ball in play, as you heard Bam Bam Mullins talk about earlier in this game. Just a real quiet lower body. Put yourself in position and control the bat head and launch that ball back up the middle. Great at bat.
Matt Duffy with the RBI. Now Brandon Belt. He's the possible tying run. Ball 1. Belt, he gets one airborne into right field. He can get a push. The wind has been blowing in that direction for a while. Of course, the ball tends to carry well here anyway, even if the wind isn't blowing.
He gets it up to right field with this wind. He can hit over the pavilion to right field. And that's Barry Bonds country.
2-0. And here's a look at third base coach Roberto Kelly. You get the panoramic view of Scottsdale Stadium. This ballpark has been in this spot here in the Cactus League for a long time. (3-0). Pagan, the switch hitter, is on deck as that ball was blocked in the dirt by Castillo, keeping Duffy rather over at first base. Duffy having knocked in Panic. The knees for a strike. 3-1. Belt, another look over at Roberto Kelly, who runs through some signs. Although, what's he going to tell him right now? Bunt?
No. It went over the pavilion.
There goes Matt Duffy. Shallow right center in there, base hit. And I like what Duffy did there. He slowed up around second just to make sure where the ball was, and then just reaccelerated because he wasn't going to have time to go back if the guy caught the ball.
Just slows up, sees that ball is indeed going to drop it. You're right. If he catches this ball, it's a double play. Just take a look inside, find the ball, and just take an easy jog into third base. That was another part of Duffy's game last year that jumped off the page was the way he ran the base pass. I've always believed that your first step defensively and your first step on the base pass told you how much of a true instinctive ball player a guy was. The only way you get a good step on the base pass and on the defensive side is if you played a lot of baseball. Because that's how you learn it.
You know, Duffy and his success, and there are other Giants as well, but Duffy is almost like the poster boy for this around baseball. In the player personnel departments, they were saying, how did the Giants, what did they know about him that we didn't know? Because he was not an obvious guy to be an everyday player in the big leagues. And yet not only did he become an everyday player, but a very good one. And I remember the Cubs in particular, they assigned their player personnel director to do a study and write a report about what the Giants are doing. What are their secrets? But one thing is, I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head about Matt Duffy. He's a baseball player. And the learning process never stops for him. Pagan takes a strike. You look at Duffy, is he the fastest guy? No. But he runs well, and he studies base running. Is he the most powerful guy? No. But he got a little bit of pop. He can hit with power. He just will do whatever it takes, I guess, to get what needs to be done.
High baseball IQ. But, you know, you look over a period of time at the type of ball players that we've seen come out of the Giants minor system, and they have a lot of similarities in that regard. And it's just high baseball IQs. Brian Sabian, Dick Tidrow, John Barr. I mean, these guys, that's really that is their signature on this organization. And it really has paid off for them.
1-2 to Pagan. And Belt is back to the bag. Belt at first, Duffy at third. A run in. The Giants down 5-3 here in the fifth inning. Pagan has hit a double, batting left-handed, and is also lined out to the shortstop, batting right-handed. Batting right-handed here again in the fifth inning. Struck him out.
Well, that's a feather in the cap. If Keith Hessler getting that strikeout, we're third less than 2 outs. But talking with John Barr yesterday, this year the Giants are not getting their top 2 picks. They forfeited that when they signed Jeff Samardzija, Johnny Cueto. So the top 100 picks this year, they're going to get 2. They don't pick until the 50th round and then the 90th round. And he says that but you can't let that intimidate you. There are big leaguers out there. You just need to find them. You need to know how to find them. And that will be the challenge this year as they get ready for the 2016 draft.
Here is Jarrett Parker. And again, that sharp breaking ball. It's 0-1. And one thing you cannot dispute, you can talk about the Giants and the homegrown talent and whatnot. One of the statistical groups, Fangraphs.com, whatever it was, did a study on the 40-man rosters of every team in Major League Baseball. And the Giants had 24 out of their own farm system amongst the 40-man roster. The Major League average, 12. The Cardinals had 23, the only team close to the Giants in terms of homegrown talent on that 40-man roster right now. So Giants had the entire homegrown infield, the homegrown catcher, the homegrown ace of the staff. There goes Belt from first, and Parker swings and misses. Strike 2. So now runners at second and third, and a base hit could tie the game, although Parker's behind. 0-2.
That's a big play right there from Belt. And to do it against a left-handed pitcher that he probably doesn't know a whole lot about. I mean, that's impressive. Well, the other thing too, John, if the one underlying story of this entire spring training has been the quality of the guys who are coming up out of the minor leagues, the young players, both the pitchers and the everyday players that we are seeing. There's a lot of talent here in this camp, and that makes your organization strong.
Jarrett Parker, a couple of swinging strikes on sliders. Let's see what happens here. And a high fastball, and he took it. 1-2.
You look at teams that have similar philosophies and build a lot of their success around their farm systems over the years. The Cardinals, the A's, Dodgers, the Yankees. I mean, it definitely stands out.
And back to that breaking ball for the strikeout, and the inning is over. Giants get a run, though. It's now 5-3 Arizona as we move to the 6th inning.
Alumni and fans of colleges throughout the Bay Area to our college nights at AT&T Park this year. And I did go to college. Each special event ticket package includes a game ticket, a limited edition co-branded SF College hat, and schools that will be featured will be Stanford, Cal, USF, SF State, and St. Mary's. You want more information or you want to buy tickets, go to sfgiants.com/special events. Javier Lopez, the new pitcher now for the Giants, as he comes in and faces Ricky Weeks. First pitch just a little bit outside for a ball. This spring in 3 games, 1-0 with a 3.0 ERA. Javier Lopez in 11th year at the big league level. This is his 19th spring training. He'll turn 39 this year. And really one of the absolute strengths of that Giants bullpen ever since he strapped it on in 2010. Giants acquired him late in the year. And the only active major leaguer that has 4 World Series rings. 3 with the Giants, 1 with the Red Sox.
Well, and that says a lot about who he is. I mean, obviously he's been on some good teams, but he is a great pitcher to have on a good team. Every team that's got a vision of a World Series championship needs a guy like him. Drury now, with Weeks having been hit by a pitch aboard. Drury has doubled and grounded out. We were talking about Matt Duffy, who's been taken out of the game now, and he's with us. Matt, welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Well, things are great. We're here in spring training. You're starting to get your swing down. You're starting to feel good about yourself at the plate. Tell us about it.
You know, still, like you said, getting the timing. Nice play, Park. Sorry.
That's good. You go with that.
Yeah, still getting the timing down, and you know, little tweaks here and there. I swear, every single day I find something else that needs to be tweaked for the swing to get to where it needs to be. But you know, we're getting there, and that's what spring training's for. So we're making progress. That's the important thing.
Hey, you want to just break into in the middle of the interview, break into some analysis? Go ahead. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Well, I heard you guys talking about Javi. He's absolutely a guy you want on your team. I mean, not only what he does, I think he led the league last year in opponent's batting average. But he's a great clubhouse guy and really good at mentoring the young guys, and that's really important. You know, he understands his role, and he's really good at getting everybody on the same page. And he doesn't take anything, I guess, too personal if he struggles or whatever, and that's good to see from a younger kid standpoint, because I know when I first came up, I ran into trying to be perfect, and Javi, you know, kind of goes with the flow and doesn't try to be too perfect, and you know, that's huge especially for young guys on the team, but for everybody.
Well, it's interesting, though, because he's a pitcher, and you're a guy who plays in the field, a hitter, and you're talking about the influence that he can have on somebody like you, which is not something you would expect.
Yeah, I just learned from his demeanor, personally, and what he's able to do with, you know, he doesn't quite have the same zip on his fastball when he was younger, I guess, in the big leagues, but you know, he's still able to work with what he's got. And I know last year I really learned from that, because at the end, the last month, I didn't have what I started the year with. So learning to play within what you have on that day is important, and something that I've learned from him. And again, just how even keel he is all the time.
All right, and that is something that's a key in this game, the everyday game, because you might have a bad day or a bad 2 days or whatever, but you can't really get down about that. Or you might have a great day, but you can't get overly excited about it, because there's always another one tomorrow where that may not go so well.
Yeah, if you're still worrying about yesterday or last at bat, you can turn a 0 for 1 into an 0 for 4 into an 0 for 20 real quick. So you got to learn how to you know, move on to the next thing, learn from what you just did, yeah, but don't get too down about it, because you got another at bat coming in 20 minutes.
What was that? I read an article that you did for Derek Jeter's website. What is it? The Players Tribune? Players Tribune.
Yep.
And you talked about having heard some horror stories about being a rookie going into a big league clubhouse. And so you had a little bit of trepidation about that. But when you got to the Giants clubhouse, you didn't find any of that. And it was a much more welcoming environment for you.
Yeah, the veterans were, I mean, huge. I think they're the ones that kind of set the tone in the clubhouse, obviously. And right when I got there, I think Hunter came up to me right away, and I hadn't had a big league spring training at that point, so I was, you know, meeting everybody, not just, hey, nice to see you again. And I'm sure they're all thinking, you know, this is what management sent us, this little 170-pound twig. But right away, Hunter comes up to me and he says, hey, man, like, good to have you. We need you. You're here to help us win games. Go out there, play hard, play with everything you got, and don't worry about failing. Just play aggressive. And, you know, for him to say that, and that kind of kicked off a series of welcoming messages from different guys, and just hearing that from them was really important, because it's like, I felt like I, kind of belong, but to hear that from the veterans, for them to say, we think you're here for a reason, to help us win games, that was important. It kind of lifted a little weight off my shoulders to think, hey, these guys think I belong. I don't have to prove anything to them.
Well, let's talk about this spring compared to last spring. Last spring, you're just trying to make the club. Really, you could say you were the 25th guy to go. This year, you're starting third baseman. You're going to be in that lineup every day. How are things different this spring?
The way I go about working and everything doesn't change. I think the only thing that might be different is I can use these first couple weeks to work on something. Maybe tweak my swing in a way, or change how I set up on defense. Whatever it is, I can use this time to figure out if things might work for me in my game. And maybe they don't. Maybe they hurt my game, and that's something that I can use these first 2 weeks to find out.
Matt Duffy is here with us, as we just saw Javier Lopez in a strikeout situation, as you always like to point out, Mike. Second and third, nobody out. He needed to strike out, and he got the strikeout.
Big strikeout.
And that was Peter O'Brien, one of the real big-time prospects out of the Arizona farm system. And now here's another one, Gabby Guerrero, who has grounded into a double play and single. The infield comes in now for the Giants, and he gets a swinging strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Matt Duffy with us. And Matt, what about these spring training games? Is it always something when you're in the game down here? Are you always working on something? What's your approach?
The first, I guess few games, you're just trying to see the ball well, and the thing that I really focus on is making sure I'm swinging at strikes. That's big for me. I don't want to be chasing everything. And so just seeing the ball well and swinging at strikes. Then once I start feeling comfortable, I can start tweaking with my balance point, or how I load, or whether I have a big leg kick or a small one, or whatever it is. Today I was trying to keep my shoulders more facing towards the pitcher instead of closing myself off. That's just an example, but little things like that you're trying to feel out, and every day it's something different when it's this early. But that's kind of, I guess, at least today, that was the focus.
Now, we just saw Christian Arroyo throw out Guerrero as a run scored to make it 6-3. Arizona. Have you met Christian Arroyo?
Oh yeah. I think the first year he got drafted, we play actually video games online. We play Call of Duty and stuff. So
really,
yeah.
And who's better?
He's way better. He spends way more time on it than I do, though. That's for sure. Yeah, he's like a professional or something, or at least he thinks so.
Well, he's competitive then.
Yes, 100%. Really good player, man. We're all excited about him. Really good short swing. Everybody kind of compares him to Buster a little bit. Just similar, I guess, batting stance and leg kick, and stays inside the ball really well and just stays really short to it. And that's something that, at least I think for young kids, you don't see often. A lot of young guys are trying to, hit the ball 500 feet and impress everybody, but he's just quietly puts the barrel on the ball and stays short, stays within himself. And I think he's a good all-around baseball player, and that kind of goes within the mold of what the Giants draft and what they look for in players.
Well, and that could well be a way to describe your game. A baseball player, just all-around baseball player. We were talking about that in the previous inning while you were not around. We were speaking behind your back.
I appreciate that.
Well, we were talking about your first step on the base pass and your first step defensively, and it really is a part of your game that stands out. And you see it with a lot of these young players that come out of the Giants minor league system, and that's what you're talking about. High baseball IQ.
Yeah, that's I think when you get a bunch, there's another one to him. Nice.
And he throws out Nick Ahmed. Matt Duffy enjoyed it, and all the best.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Matt Duffy. We go to the last of the 6th inning. The Giants are trailing 6-3.
Area is brought to you by Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience TV.
I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow from the desert. Dwayne Kuiper is on assignment. Arizona leading 6-3. Javier Lopez, well, we were primarily interested in chatting up Matt Duffy. Javier Lopez went out and put together quite an inning after hitting Ricky Weeks and then giving up a double. They had second and third and nobody out. He got a strikeout, finally a ground ball on which a run scored. And even then, the ground ball was hit so poorly that they had no shot at throwing out the runner at the plate. And then another ground ball, and he really limited the damage. So Javier Lopez sort of having to come out with some emergency stuff, and he got it done.
Hey, he'll be happy with that outing. The pitcher now for the Diamondbacks will be Kyle Drabek in his third year at the big league level. This is what he has done in spring. He's been good in 2 games. Drabek, you're going to see a low 90s fastball, good curveball. It's an outstanding curveball. He's got a slider and a changeup.
Andrew Susac, the hitter, with Kelby Tomlinson, the on-deck hitter. You see Tomlinson off to the left there, trying to get a bead on the stuff of Kyle Drabek. Slider is off the outside, 2-0. The son of Doug Drabek, and at one time he was a very highly touted prospect out of the Phillies organization. He was a key player in the deal when the Phillies traded for Roy Halladay several years ago, acquiring Halladay from the Blue Jays. But it never really came together for Drabek.
Never did. First round pick. And he's never had one whole year in the big leagues. He's been called up in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He had put them all together a little over 2 years' time. But he has not lived up to the billing.
So the D-backs have him in camp. He has walked Susac to start the inning here. And that will bring up Kelby Tomlinson, who has walked and hit an RBI double to left center.
Drabek, 6'2", 205-pounder.
His dad, Doug Drabek, was a longtime major leaguer. And he was a good player. He was an ace on some top clubs there at various times in his career. In fact, I remember when he was with the Pirates, when Barry Bonds was a young guy, and Bobby Bonilla, Andy Van Slyke were all on that team, and Jim Leland, the manager. The Pirates kind of had been building, and all of a sudden they became a contender, and Drabek was one of their top guys.
Oh, and Barry Bonds. I mean, you get him talking about Doug Drabek, and he'll talk for a while, and it's all good. He really enjoyed the time that he played with Drabek in Pittsburgh. Tough competitor, great stuff.
1 ball and no strikes to Tomlinson. Shortstop Ahmed to second, 1. And Owings had that extra step. And then the wide throw to first, too late to double up the speedy Tomlinson.
You know, you're not going to get Tomlinson unless you're completely clean, and that little bit of a delay before they could get rid of the ball. And Owings, and he knows it. And Owings really, I mean, he's very, very good. He's got great hands. Rare to see him have any kind of a bobble at second base. But it's got to be perfect to get Tomlinson.
The 9th place hitter, Gorkis Hernandez, now has hit into a forced play and popped up to second. One ball to no strikes. Gorkis Hernandez is a guy who at one time was really a very highly touted prospect. And he is a guy similar to Kyle Drabek, for whom it has never come together in the big leagues. One way you can look back at his career and know just how highly touted he was is to see some of the names for whom he was traded. And the Tigers had him originally, and they sent him to Atlanta. And one of the guys that got that deal, Edgar Renteria, who was at the top of his game at that time. Later was exchanged, traded to Pittsburgh, and in that deal, Atlanta got Nate McLouth, who was an all-star with the Pirates. So now Rockies Hernandez trying to give the Giants a little depth, and they're trying to have a look to see if he is a guy who could give them some depth in the organization as a center fielder. It's 3-0. Hernandez coming into this game hitting .381 for the spring. Rockies Hernandez has been playing professionally since 2005. He's from Venezuela. Got the low strike on that one. 3-1. Last year hit .288 in AAA at Indianapolis, the Pirates farm system, and then had a great winter league down in the Caribbean. The Giants signed him, invited him to camp. That's off the inside, and he walks. Putting 2 men on with 1 man out and bringing up Denard Span. Denard Span, who is one of the few players in the game today born in Washington, D.C. to make it to the big leagues. But also, he ended up playing, of course, for the team in Washington. The Nationals hit .301 for them last year, .302 the year before. Came up with the Twins originally. And the count is 0-1.
Well, Giants fans are going to love his game. They're going to love the at-bats that he takes. I mean, he's a quality hitter. Has been ever since he came up with Minnesota.
Pickoff throw to second with Ahmed, the shortstop, moving in behind Tomlinson. Tomlinson back safely.
Span is a guy that will use the whole field, and he's got some power. If you watch his batting practice, I mean, he can hit him out as far as anybody. I don't think of him as a guy who's got pop because of his speed, but he definitely is going to run into a few.
He only played 61 games for the Nationals last year, and yet had 5 home runs. A guy who's a leadoff hitter, and I think it's significant when you note that his lifetime on base percentage, .352, and even in his truncated season of a year ago, .365. 2-1. 2 years ago, his last full season, with the injury-riddled season last year, but 2014, he had a .416 on base average.
But he's another guy that you don't often see his at-bats determined in less than 3 pitches. He'll work a pitcher.
Off the end of the bat, and Guerrero with the catch, and he fires that ball into the shortstop, the cutoff man, Ahmed.
That's one he's going to think about for a while because he just missed it. Got out a little front towards the end of the bat.
So now Rondo Moreno up for the first time. He came on in the first half of this inning in place of Joe Panik. He actually came in for Panik in the lineup and went into shortstop defensively, facing Kyle Drabek. Rondo Moreno from the Dominican Republic, and he's a switch hitter. Hit .275 in Double-A ball last year with 1 home run. In for a strike. Those are the Flying Squirrels.
Yeah, Flying Squirrels. But he's the first Rando I ever met.
I like that name. Every once in a while I'll see a name and say, I wish that was my name.
Rando.
It'd be a great broadcast
Rando
name.
Miller.
Rando Kruko. You should have another kid and you can name him Rando.
Rando Kruko. He's my man.
Just a thought. Rando Moreno has gone down. For Arizona, 3 runs, 8 hits for the Giants. Archie Bradley went the first 3 for the D-backs. Had a very laborious second inning. Socrates Brito, one of the top young players out of the farm system for the D-backs, hit a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning against Ty Block, the Giants starter, who went 3 but got roughed up a little bit. 5 runs, 6 hits through 44 pitches. Joe Panic, while he was in there, had an excellent day. A single and a triple and a run scored. And the one time they got him out, he hit a shot right to the third baseman. So right now, Joe Panic is swinging the bat perhaps better than any Giant here down in the Cactus League.
He has definitely found his swing.
This is Stephen Okert in the pitch now.
Take a look at the spring training numbers for Okert. Got roughed up in one of his outings, but was really quite impressive his other outing. Low 90s fastball with 2 types of movement. He's got a slider and a really good changeup.
That is foul down the right field line.
Okert, 24 years old. He was a 4th-round pick by the Giants in 2012. Went to the University of Oklahoma. A lot of teams wanted Stephen Okert. Brewers selected him, turned it down. Brewers selected him again, turned it down. Finally, the Giants got him.
And what did he say then?
I'm in.
This is the center fielder, Gorkis Hernandez, who called off Jarrett Parker. Either one of them could have caught it, but center fielder has the sway in the outfield. He calls for it. Everybody just get out of his way.
He's the captain. He can cover some ground now. He's got a good arm, too.
Here is Socrates Brito. Brito has struck out, homered, and popped out. Osich misses, or rather Okert misses off the inside.
Okert, one of those guys that you're seeing a lot around baseball now. I mean, he's never made a start. I mean, he got drafted, and it was with the idea that he was going to go right in the bullpen. And that's where he has made his living. This will be the 5th year professionally for Okert.
There is Parker. Out number 2. Hit hard.
Well, Giants spring training baseball is live with the MLB.com at bat. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and your tablet. Kristen Arroyo has one. So is that guy. He's checking it out right now.
Down and in with that slider to Paul Goldschmidt.
You know, it is amazing how often we use that app during the course of the season. Every day.
It is the quintessential app, because we can tune in any radio broadcast at any time or any telecast, or if we miss the telecast, we can later on pick up the truncated version of the telecast, where they just show the final pitch of every at bat. See the whole game in 15 minutes. You don't get that any great anecdotes from the telecasters.
Yeah. Hope that doesn't catch on. We'd be out of a gig.
2-1 the count to Goldschmidt. 3-1. But yesterday I was not at the game, and I looked at the box score on the app. Hunter Pence hit a home run and asked me if I wanted to watch the video of it. And you know what I said?
Yes, I do.
Show it to me. Are you kidding? Come on. And right during the game, I was able to, because that game was not on television. But it was cool to be able to pick up with some of the highlights while the game was going on in that way. So Goldschmidt has walked, and they send a pinch runner in for Goldie. It is Kyle Jensen. Of course, that's another part of the Goldschmidt's game that maybe needs to be a little more appreciated. You look at his homers, his batting average, his RBIs, his on-base percent. It's just fantastic straight across the board. Which tells you he's one of the best hitters in the game. But what about the fact that he's a Gold Glove caliber first baseman, and as a baseman, he stole 21 bases last year? Paul Goldschmidt. Kyle Jensen, who's out of Walnut Creek, is the guy now running at first base in place of Goldschmidt. Bay Area product. Still lives out in San Ramon.
Went to St. Mary's.
Wellington Castillo, the hitter. 2-0.
A lot of straightaway defenses here in spring training. You won't see that once the season starts. One thing we've grown accustomed to over the last couple of years is dramatic defensive sets. And that's something that is only going to stick around. Every pitch that is ever thrown, every ball that is ever hit, how it was hit, was it a line drive, was it a hard hit line drive, was it a bloop, was it a ground ball? It's all logged in, all that information is put down, and over a period of time you can have some pretty telling information as to how to play guys, and we're seeing it with every ball club. So it's odd when you get to spring training, you see straight up sets. A lot of it is because a lot of these guys, we don't know. We've got nothing on them. Young hitters.
3-2 now to Castillo, who has doubled, flied out deep to left center and flied out to right. I remember, though, I think you and I were working a game last year. Kansas City came over here, and it was what, the third game of the spring or whatever it was, and there they were in a big overshift for Brandon.
Like, is that even legal at spring training?
No swing, so it's a walk for Castillo.
You know, the other thing that you don't get in spring training is you don't get replay. And it's happened to us about a dozen times already. Well, it'll be a play, and you're thinking, oh, they're going to replay. No, they're not. It's spring training. It's amazing how, after 1 year, we're so accustomed to having replay complement a play, define a play.
Brett Hayes goes in as a runner for Castillo at first base. Is that Brett Hayes out of University of Nevada, Reno?
That would be Brett Hayes from UNR.
Here's Ricky Weeks now, 2 men on. Weeks takes a called strike. He's a veteran with the Brewers for years. Now he's trying to make a club, and today he's had 2 hits and was hit by a pitch. He scored 2 runs.
I'll tell you an interesting story about Brett Hayes. His sisters, Alex and Bailey, live in Reno now, and they were so excited he came over to the Diamondbacks organization because whatever happens to him is a good thing. If he makes the big club, he goes to Arizona. If he goes to AAA, he comes back to Reno, and they can watch him play every day.
And it may be a little of both. If he sticks here in the spring, he may get up to the big leagues for a while and also spend time in Reno. The shortstop, this is Moreno, over to Tomlinson, and that ends the inning as Brett Hayes is forced down. Christian
CSN Bay Area is brought to you by AAA. Get an insurance quote from AAA by March 31st, and you'll get a free carry-all tote. Restrictions apply. Go to AAA branch for details.
Scottsdale Stadium from the desert, 6-3. The D-backs lead the Giants as we go to the last of the 7th inning. Several changes for the Diamondbacks. The new pitcher who has come on is Cody Hall, whom we saw last spring. He was a product of the Giants farm system, picked up by the D-backs in the offseason. So Cody Hall now to face the Giants, and he'll be facing the sensational prospect Christian Arroyo. That's a ball very high.
Cody Hall, a hard thrower, good fastball, slider split combination.
(2-0). Tuesday, he hit a spectacular home run against the Reds.
Well, that was after being down to the count 0-2. He worked it full, and this was the payoff pitch. And he has been the talk of the camp.
He's only 20 years old. Hall is too high with that one.
And the one thing that all the veterans are saying about this guy is that he's very relaxed. He acts like he has been here for a long time. Hard worker, goes about his business the right way.
He gets the walk.
Red Hayes is coming out right there, and that conversation is all about one thing: don't overthrow the ball. And you would expect a guy that played the Giants organization like Hall did last year to try and put a little extra something on it against his former team. Hayes, a veteran catcher, sniffed it out, went out there and tried to pour a little water on him, calm him down. It's good advice.
So Arroyo gets the walk. Here's Brandon Belt in there for a called strike. Arroyo's only 20 years old. We had a scout come up to us earlier this week, Mike, and I don't want to mention which scout because he's not a Giant scout. But we always like to get any information to get an idea of what other teams maybe are thinking about different players. But he told us he'd seen him a lot. And he thinks that Arroyo is going to be a guy that might hit 25 home runs in a year as he learns his craft and gets more experience in the big leagues and that sort of thing. He's got a chance to be in the big leagues this year, even though he's only 20 years old. And I don't mean breaking camp with the ball club. I think they'd like to see him get more experience. But if he continues to do what he's been doing, could be mid-season. Christian Arroyo could be here, playing at AT&T Park.
Probably going to see him start off at Double-A ball. If he gets hot there, I mean, he can move quick. His future very bright.
Kyle Jensen, the new first baseman, holding against Arroyo at first. Brandon Belt 1 for 3 with an RBI today. Single homer run back in the 5th inning. There's Arroyo back to the bag at first. The D-backs have Jensen now at first base. Jack Reinhammer at second base. Ahmed stays at short. There's Reinhammer, number 76. Also a new third baseman and a familiar face, Joaquin Arias. The former Giant is now at third. There he is. Cody Hall gets a strike. It's 3-2 now. Bell wasn't. I don't think Bell thought it was a strike.
Yeah, he's not enthusiastic.
See his numbers from last year. Arroyo at first, nobody out. 3-2 the count. Arroyo goes on the fists and fouled. Hayes over, but it just wasn't high enough in the air for him to get to it. Diamondbacks in the outfield have Michael Freeman in left now. Colin Bray in center. And Todd Glaseman in right. Just for the record.
Well, I feel better.
3-2. Arroyo goes. Belt yanks it foul right past the bag at first. Right past Billy Hayes, the Giants' first base coach. Six to 3, Arizona leading, last of the 7th.
There's Billy Hayes, former first-round pick by the Cubs, the catcher. Roberto Kelly, the third base coach for the Giants.
Roy's been running the last 2 pitches. Now they make a throw to first. Arroyo back to the bag. Arroyo had 5 steals for San Jose last year. Played 90 games there in the California League. He goes. Bell got jammed. And Cody Hall handles it. Pretty good pitch there by Cody Hall. Arroyo does go to second.
That's a big league jam sandwich is what that is. It's not an at-bat that Brandon Bell's going to want to remember. Fastball right in on the hands. It's kind of a good mistake. They set the target on the outside part of the plate. This thing comes right in on the hands at the belt with a little cut to it, and it just ate Belt up. He's going to feel that in his hands the rest of the day.
Now Carlos Moncrief will come up for the first time in this game. Moncrief replaced Angel Pagan in left field in the first half of the 6th inning. We're in the last of the 7th. The Giants are down 6-3. Arroyo at second. Moncrief will try and knock him in. Moncrief over from the Giants minor league camp, and he takes a called strike.
This is invaluable experience for a young player in an organization who's not in the 40-man. Really hasn't been in camp. Doing well in the minor league games. They want to see how he does well here, but you also want to get him acclimated to the feel of playing in the big diamond with 11,000 plus people. It's all about getting your young players to the comfort zone, because this guy, you don't know. I mean, injuries, whatever. He might want himself up in the big leagues this year. And if that's the case, you got to get him comfortable before he can really produce, and you can count on him. They seem like one small at bat during spring training, but it really isn't. Because if you go over to minor league camp right now, the only ones at the ball games there are relatives and friends.
So it's just another world when you get caught up for one of these games.
Completely a different world, and a lot of it has to do with the crowd.
Oh, that nailed it. Cody Hall hitting Carlos Moncrief, putting 2 men on, and that will make Jared Parker the possible tying run for the Giants. And we know he's well capable of getting hold of one.
Cody Hall, Jared Parker, teammates last year in Sacramento, and at the big league level, they know each other. One thing, when you have knowledge about a teammate as a hitter facing a teammate who's a pitcher, former teammate, you will definitely have an idea what to look for in a first pitch.
Parker spent much of last year at Sacramento, and so did Cody Hall. And then they were reunited in the big leagues in September as call-ups with the Giants. High and tight, he backs him away, his old teammate. Don't get comfortable, buddy. You're not my teammate now. How would you handle it? You facing a guy that you knew a lot about who used to be your teammate? Face him for the first time?
Number one, I'd never make eye contact with him. I didn't want him to think that I still liked him. But I'm serious. I mean, I didn't want to think about his wife or his kids. I know everything about him. I didn't want to think about that. I wanted to think about the target. To me, he didn't exist. If I knew what his weaknesses were, then I would try and exploit him. But I did not want to make a personal contact with him by making eye contact with him. And it's not easy to pitch inside to former teammates. Guys you don't like, if you're playing a team, there's a couple guys in there that you don't like, and you don't even know them, but you don't like them. I mean, it could be the way he moves, the way he plays the game, the shape of his head. I don't know, but you don't like him. He's easy to pitch inside. If you miss inside, you drill him, well, hang with him. But a former teammate you played cards with, you spent time with, you know his family, it's tough. It's tough to make that pitch inside.
Well, Hall went right inside with the very first pitch to Cody Hall, and then missed with the second pitch, and he's had a visit from the pitching coach. Now it's 2-0 to a dangerous hitter, Jarrett Parker. Deep into right center, but not deep enough. Glazeman, who went all the way back to the wall, then came in quite a ways before getting under it for the out.
Ooh, he just got underneath that one.
That's Jeremy Affeldt sitting right next to Bruce Bochy. Back with the Giants, although he's retired as a player.
I'd like to hear this conversation. Those two have a pretty special relationship. And there'll be a lot of teasing going on. They just can't help it.
Jared Parker retired. Now Andrew Susac will come up.
Bruce Bochy used Jeremy Affeldt this spring for part of his welcome to spring training speech. And, you know, Jeremy, after 13 seasons, retired. He singled him out in front of all the Giants. Spring training on day one. He says, guys, you know, we're here and we want to honor really a great Giant, a World Series hero, a guy who meant the world to our franchise and our success. And I want to show you a little montage.
There's a line drive left center field, base hit for Andrew Susac. Arroyo around third. He'll score. The throw goes in behind Moncrief at second. He's back safely. Andrew Susac with his second hit of the game, a 2-out RBI single. It is 6-4. Nice Arizona.
Nice at bat. A little mistake up from Cody Hall. And Andrew Susac takes advantage of it. Nice 2-out RBI.
And that's that leadoff walk. Cody Hall walked Arroyo to start the inning, and that's become a run now. The only hit of the inning for the Giants is the base hit Susac just got. Moncrief was down second. He was hit by a pitch. So here's Tomlinson with the possible tying runs on base. So they had a video to demonstrate what Affeldt had done for the club.
And everybody sits in silence and respect out of a guy who's a warrior. And they roll this video, and it shows him taking a swing and falling down. It takes making an error and just all the things over his Giants career that were like the goofs and the odd things that he'd done. And Affeldt totally bit in. They all totally bit into it, and it was well received. Obviously, a lot of fun. And Affeldt, who is not afraid to laugh at himself, you know, he enjoyed it, I think, more than anybody. But it was Bruce Bochy's way of breaking the ice at spring, and you know, bringing a player who he really does like and admire a great deal. And he made him part of the 2016 Giants. It was pretty cool. But we have to get that film, and we have to get it. We got to play it.
We need to. 2 men on. Tomlinson has walked, had an RBI double, and grounded out. 2 on, 2 out. There is Joaquin Arias over to second. Reinheimer covering for the out. And that is the inning. Susac forced down. 6-4 Arizona. On to the 8th inning. Suns tonight, 7:30, with an hour-long pregame live starting at 6:30 on CSN Bay Area. Back-to-back games for the Warriors as they face the Suns. Complete pre- and post-game coverage. You can also log on to csnbayarea.com for Warriors insider Monty Poole, veteran Bay Area sports writer. Available to stream live on csnbayarea.com and NBC Live Extra. The Warriors. That's one of the great shows in the NBA and one of the great shows in sports right now. Warriors basketball. And lately, we're down here. I've been down here for a couple of weeks now. And the Phoenix Suns are on TV and on radio every night. And you listen to the Giants fans give an ovation to the former Giant, Joaquin Arias. Nice moment for Arias as he comes up for Arizona. Giants fans don't forget.
They do not forget. And you know what? Arias will not forget that moment either.
Kyle Crick out of the farm system facing Arias, and he misses low and outside with ball one. And a new catcher has come in for the Giants, Ramis Garcia. And Connor Gillespie is now at first base, replacing Brandon Belt. In to field it, this is Moreno over to Gillespie. One away.
Crick, a big guy, 6'4", 220-pounder. He's 23 years old. Sent out of high school. Giants drafted him. He's a high pick in 2011. If you look at his numbers in the minor leagues, 340 lifetime innings in his 5 years at the minor leagues, 415 strikeouts. He's got great stuff. You're talking mid to high 90s fastball, hard slider, and a changeup.
Here's Peter O'Brien, the designated hitter for Arizona today, and he takes ball one.
He only has allowed 257 hits in those 340 innings, but the problem is 241 walks in 340 innings. Giants are waiting, and this is a big year for him.
Back to the screen. A pretty good rip at that one.
As you mentioned, 23 years old, 5 years in the system. He needs to make a move this year. And last year in 63 innings at the AA level, he had 66 walks. And that has to improve. If you're going to get to the big leagues, you have to be able to throw strikes. End of story.
Did he swing? Oh. Called a strike by Adrian Johnson, so it's 1-2. Didn't matter if he swung or not. 6-4, Arizona leading the Giants here in the 8th inning. Don't forget tomorrow, more Giants baseball in the Cactus League. And we'll have it on NBC Bay Area and the Giants television network at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Right here at Scottsdale Stadium. Madison Bumgarner will make the start against the San Diego Padres. Chris Heston's also going to work in that one. Sellout crowd today again for the Giants here. Back to the screen. 11,544. Last Saturday, the Cubs, for the second day in a row, had a crowd at their ballpark over in Mesa, 15,400 something, which was a Cactus League record. And Katie Feeney from the commissioner's office was down here, and she told us that that day the Cubs sold the last ticket for any game all spring down here. That one is drilled down the left field line. Karam is played by Moncrief. It's a double for O'Brien, his second hit. O'Brien, we may hear his name a lot this coming season. A guy who at Reno last year hit 26 home runs and then hit another one. He only had 10 at bats when he got to the big leagues as a September call up, and he had a home run there. Here comes Todd Glazeman. But I was talking about, because we're down here and all of a sudden we're exposed to the Phoenix Suns a lot, who are having a terrible year. But all of a sudden, the last few days, they started to win. And some young players doing well. But I happen to notice that sometimes the Warriors, when they're facing a team like that, that's not doing all that well, that's when the Warriors seem to be a little more at risk to something happening. And, they've been beaten by some teams you wouldn't figure to beat them.
Lakers. Portland.
I mean, and the Lakers beat him by plenty. It wasn't even close. 2-0 the count.
It's the big leagues, though. I mean, you know, you go out there, and as good as they are, they're still playing against big leaguers. Guys who have great credentials, or they wouldn't be there.
That's back out of play. Giants down 6-4. They got a run in the 7th inning to make it a 2-run deficit on a 2-out single by Andrew Susac, his second hit of the day, and he's with us now. Andrew, welcome, and a nice bit of hitting there. Even if it's just a spring, I guess it feels good. Yeah. 2-out RBI hit.
Everything feels good when you get a good piece of wood on it in spring. It's early, and everyone's just trying to get their timing back, and I think, you know, only more at bats, you'll get better.
I saw, and it might have been yesterday, in the Grapefruit League in Florida, the veteran and one of the best players in the game, Andrew McCutchen, hit a home run, his first of the spring, and he said after, he says, man, that just felt great. I finally feel good again. So a guy like that who's so established, and you're saying that even in the spring, it just feels good when something goes off your bat like that.
I think, you know, guys out here are just finding their timing and trying to get their mechanics right. So, and when you do see the great hitters, they know. I mean, just sitting here watching Buster, he's like, it's a good piece of hitting, but, you know, my swing's still getting there, and they know when they get locked in. They know when their mechanics are right. You're seeing Joe Panic locked in right now.
Oh, my Lord. Is he locked in?
Yeah.
How are your hands feeling?
Great. Yeah, 100%, man. You know, just like I said earlier, just getting back out there and getting comfortable again. It's been a while since I've been out there, so experience and just playing again is better.
Well, you had that base hit to knock in a run 7, but back in the 4th inning, you hit this one pretty well out into the gap in left center field. As Mike Krukow called it, the gap over the head of the outfielder, between the outfielder and the wall. That's
yeah. A good pitch to hit. I've been waiting for it all game. You know, Archie Bradley, first guy, was throwing some pretty good cheddar in there, and I wasn't getting on time, and so I made sure in my second at bat that, you know, I was getting down and making sure I was ready to hit the fastball.
Well, here is Ildamaro Vargas now, pinch hitting for Nick Ahmed, the shortstop.
Andrew, talk about some of the young pitchers you've seen this spring coming up through the Giants system that you've been impressed with.
I'll tell you what, I actually experienced first base the other day, and I was pretty darn glad Ray Black was throwing. He was throwing 100 and something. I've heard that he's gotten up to 103, but when you have that type of stuff and you're commanding it like he does, to me that's impressive. And, you know, he's not a younger guy, but he's still, you know, I think he's 24. That's something you look for when you're out there, and it's comforting as a catcher when you got someone throwing that hard. There's a double play right here.
And it was a double clutch there by Tomlinson, but he still got it done. And that was called in advance by Andrew Susac. Andrew, hang around a little bit, will you?
Okay.
We'll be back. ahead of the Giants in this Cactus League friendly, last of the 8th inning. And with us, Andrew Susac. And Andrew, we were rudely interrupted. All of a sudden, a double play into the inning, right in the middle of our interview with you.
Hey, that's all right. We need as many of those as we can get.
Always happy to see a double play turn. Yeah. Now, in the spring, today you're facing a team that promises to be a strong contender in this division in the regular season. Is that a little bit different when you face a team from your own division that is a strong team versus, say, your run-of-the-mill Cactus League game?
I think you got to take every game. You're trying to win out there, and I think you're trying to play your best every single time. But when you're in your division, you don't want to get beat by these guys. And I don't know. It's something about it. It's more of a pride factor, I think.
What about the idea, if you're a pitcher, maybe you don't want to show Paul Goldschmidt what you might show him in a big spot in the regular season?
Well, I think that's kind of what we were going for. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not the skipper, but I figured Jake on the road was a little weird. So.
Well, the Giants, by the way, batting down last of the 8th, the new pitcher from the Arizona minor league system, R.J. Hively, facing Gorky Hernandez. And the count now is 2-1.
Did you say Hively?
Hively.
So it is Connor Gillespie, by the way, out on deck. So Andrew, what do you see? For the first time, you're coming off an injury, and that's an injury. And we were talking about this earlier. Mike Krukow pointed out when you have an injury, that changes everything because you haven't experienced that before.
Yeah.
Has it changed you?
I think it has, man. I don't think I've ever been this hungry in the off season to work out, get in shape, and get after it on the baseball standpoint. But it was a long season. I'd been dealing with that all year, and it really wore on me mentally. I was telling somebody the other day, at the end of the day, or towards the end of the season, it hurt me more to go out there knowing I was 50% and can't contribute everything I can to the team than it actually did physically, pain-wise.
So it was how did that happen? What was the exact? Because I know you had the one play that put you on the disabled list with a head first slide into third, legging out a triple, another one of those long list of Andrew Susac triples.
Yeah, I think I just took a funky swing in that in the early spring, and we had been cortisoning all year. The slide into third was completely different.
That was the thumb, I guess.
Yeah, that was my thumb. My wrist I'd broken scaphoid, so.
So now you play with that all year long, the wrist problem.
Yeah, and you know what? I broke my hamate too, and tried to play through that. Your hands are everything in this game, and when you aren't right, you start to compensate and do things the wrong way, and that's just what I got caught up doing.
All right, so now you've gone through all that. You tried to play through it. Now you've had the surgery in the off season and whatnot. And as you say, it was kind of a life-changing experience. So.
I think it was, yeah. It made me tougher.
Well, it's great seeing you swing the bat well today, and it's great seeing you healthy and ready to help this ball club. Everybody seems to be pretty confident about the abilities on this ball club right now.
I'm excited, man. We got a great group of guys. Even the new additions are fitting right in, and it just seems like a good mesh for us.
Andrew Susac, all the best. Many thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Andrew Susac. Hadn't been around long in the big leagues. Already has a World Series ring, though.
Yeah, that's something that he hopes to add to his collection throughout his career. But it's nice to see him healthy again. And you can just tell the way he carries himself that he is feeling good. He's got his body back. He got his hands back. And as he pointed out, I mean, this game is all about hands.
Well, our friend, my former partner for many years on television, Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer, always used to say, he says, this game is extremely hard when you play it fully healthy. And imagine how much more difficult it is to try and play it when you're not 100% physically.
It's no fun. It becomes another opponent you're playing against.
Gillespie fouls one back. Connor Gillespie up in the spot where the designated hitter had been. So when he entered the game at first base, the Giants forfeited the designated hitter. So that was a double switch, even with a team using the DH, which just won't happen in the American League during the regular season. That's no swing on appeal. Third base umpire Chris Guccione said that Gillespie did not swing, so he gets the walk. Gillespie, when you talk to people, remember he was a guy who was a highly touted prospect, a first-round draft choice for the Giants. And things really didn't go that well in his Giants career. He went to the American League with the White Sox and really for the first time became a legitimate major league hitter and had some success over there as a hitter. Here is Rondo Moreno, who grounded out in the sixth in his only at bat, so he's 0 for 1.
Well, I think what happened to Conor Gillespie, it all started with his negotiation when he signed, because one of the stipulations that his agent insisted upon is that he gets to the big league at a certain time, and Giants honored that. They got him to the big leagues, and he wasn't ready to be there. He didn't know how to fit in. I mean, there were so many distractions, and it overwhelmed him. And I think he became reclusive because of it. And you didn't really see what this guy was all about because he just was so intimidated by it. He went to another organization and really established himself at the big league level with the White Sox. And so this time around, I mean, it's a totally different scenario for him, and hopefully it works out for him. He's a good player, especially if they're thinking about using him as a guy that can come off the bench late in the ball game to pinch hit. I mean, that's something he is very well suited to do. It's a tough role, but he's the type of hitter who can do that.
Well, a good team needs a good left-handed pinch hitter off the bench late in a tight game. So he's got the shot at filling that role, but also a guy who, when the Giants had him, he was primarily a third baseman. But now he's a guy who can play third, he can play some second, he can play some first. He's a guy who could be a utility infielder in addition to being a good left-handed hitter on the bench.
Well, that's the one job that you have to have a veteran, I believe.
Moreno, he chased on that one, just trying to fight it off, couldn't do it.
I mean, it's tough enough to get a hit for anybody at this level, but to ask a young hitter who doesn't know, has never had any at-bats against guys coming out of the bullpen, because the guys come out of the bullpen, you're not going to see any bad guys. You're going to see great stuff every night. And it helps you if you've faced a guy before, which is why I believe a veteran has to have that role as a pinch hitter, hitting late in the ball game. He has to have some sort of a point of reference against the guy that he's hitting. He has to know what his breaking ball does, what the movement on his fastball is. Where do you look for to pick the ball up? And if you're a rookie and you don't have at-bats against the guy in that scenario, it's easy to get overmatched, which is why I think Gillespie could be that guy.
Christian Arroyo, and the count is 0-2. And Arroyo has, in this game, only been to the plate one time, and he drew a walk and scored a run. That was in the 7th inning. Arroyo this spring has had 6 hits and 11 official at-bats and a couple of walks. And the count is 1-2. A lot of people, because he was a shortstop when they signed him and in the minor leagues so far, are always surprised when they see him in person, because he's much more solidly built than you might have imagined.
He's built like a catcher. And then he got broad shoulders. And remember, this guy's only 20 years old, so he's going to get bigger. Right now, he's 6'1", 180. But I mean, he is thick between the shoulders.
Center field, hit well. Bray on the warning track. The deepest part of the yard, that was to the right of the 430 marker out there. And the inning is over. On to the 9th, 6-4, Arizona.
Sportsnet Central tonight at 6 p.m. right here at CSN Bay Area. Giants spring training highlights. Warriors get ready for the Suns. And Monty Poole from the Oracle Arena. All that and more, all on the Toyota Sportsnet Central tonight at 6 p.m.
Ninth inning. And Jack Reinheimer is coming to the plate for Arizona for the first time in this game. And Derek Law is on the mound for the Giants, 25-year-old right-hander out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And last year, pitching in the minor leagues, he was coming back from the Tommy John surgery. Ball was fouled back and out of play.
Well, he's got great stuff, and he has something that you don't very seldom see, and that is a combination curveball, and it's a good one. Split. Fastball low 90s, but the curveball split. I mean, you just don't see guys throw those two, and he's got them, and they're both good.
Base hit. Reinheimer just out of the reach of Moreno at shortstop. And Law with a man on base will now face the center fielder Colin Bray. I think we need to just break down, spend the money, and hire a secretary for these spring training exhibitions in terms of keeping our scorebooks up to date.
It's impossible.
That is foul. I think Derek Law got a lot of attention back in 2013. He came to camp here in 2014. He was invited to spring training. In 3 different stops from the Giants Arizona Rookie League to the low A team in Augusta and finally to San Jose, he pitched 67 innings and had 102 strikeouts, which is impressive enough, but only 12 walks. Tomlinson thought about second, but Reinheimer too quick, so he got his man at first. Bray, who is retired, with a runner at second and 1 out now. Kyle Jensen, the former St. Mary's star, will come up.
Now you look at Law. I mean, he anchors his arm straight down when he separates his throwing hand from the glove. He anchors it straight down. Then he's got to get into a high position because he's a high 3/4 release. I mean, he's got some stress points on his arm. He's kind of funky. You don't pick him up early, and he's got great stuff. I mean, this is a guy you'll definitely see pitch at the big league level this year. No question.
Derek Law had the Tommy John surgery in June of 2014. And got back and still made 28 appearances for Richmond in Double-A ball last year. Coming back from that. 2-0 the count to Kyle Jensen. Born in Walnut Creek, went to college at St. Mary's. He's a big, strong guy. Came out as a pinch runner for Paul Goldschmidt in the 7th inning. 6-4, the D-backs ahead. 9th inning. And that's back out of play. Derek Law, and a lot of people don't know this, he says that only his very best friends know that in high school he was not only voted most athletic, a lot of people know that, but also best dancer. But only his very best friends actually know that latter factoid about Derek Law.
Well, that surprises me.
That he was that athletic and yet a great dancer?
Yeah.
You weren't that great a dancer?
Oh, no. I could do the Aztec two-step better than anybody in the gym, let me tell you.
Derek Law also loves baseball history. And it's always cool when you see a young ball player who is not only interested in playing the game, but is just interested in the whole history of the game.
Yeah, I like that. I think it should be a prerequisite.
And he walks Jensen, so that puts 2 men on with 1 man out. He's in a bit of a jam as Brett Hayes will come up. He also has a particular interest in the old Negro leagues. And he has been collecting baseball figurines. You know, you and I, in our generation, we collected baseball cards.
Yep.
And people still do. But now they have these baseball figurines and the bobbleheads and whatnot. And his most prized possessions in terms of his baseball figurines, Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige, two of the great Hall of Fame stars of the old so-called Negro leagues. 0-1 to Derek Law, or from Derek Law to Brett Hayes.
Well, there's so much history, and I think every player should watch Ken Burns' baseball, the history of baseball, his documentary on baseball, before every season. It's just absolutely spectacular, and it's just so informative about this great game and who were the stars and the characters that played it before this generation.
And how the game has evolved. It's still the basic same game it was 100 years ago, 120 years ago. And yet there are certainly many different changes that have been effected. 0-2 pitch. Still 0-2. Into the far corner of the Arizona dugout with that foul ball.
I mean, you should have a general knowledge of baseball's history, but you certainly should know the history in the town that you're playing for. And it's pretty cool if you're part of the Giants organization. You know, you come to Scottsdale for spring training, you're going to see Willie Mays, the greatest Giant of them all. And there he is in the clubhouse, and you know, you can walk up to him and talk baseball, and you'll learn something. Ari Aliota calls the Giants Hall of Famers the living monuments. Willie McCovey, Orlando Cepeda, Gaylord Perry, Juan Marichal. These guys, I mean, they've got so many great insights to baseball and to Giants history when they first came to San Francisco in the 60s. And players should know about that. Good pitch.
2-2. When you're talking about Giants history, there's a great bit of Giants history. Matt Williams back with the D-backs as a third base coach this year.
The Big Marine. Great Giant, great teammate.
Spent the last 2 years managing the Washington Nationals, the National League East. 2-2 the count. Back to the screen. So Brett Hayes really battling it out here with Derek Law in the ninth inning with 2 men on.
I've watched Brett Hayes play baseball since he was in high school. Notre Dame High School in Southern California. Good player. I watched him throughout his career at UNR. Good athlete.
He froze him on that one, buckled his knees. The breaking ball gets him looking.
Looks like a split-finger fastball. It just catches that outside corner. And Hayes sent packing.
So 2 down. And here is Michael Freeman. Came in to play left field in the 7th inning. Up for the first time. Right up the middle. It hit the mound and skips through into center. Coming around third, Reinheimer. The throw cut off. The throw to third by Gillespie. Not in time there. So Reinheimer has scored. Jensen goes to third on the RBI single by Freeman. 7-4 Arizona. Nice round of applause from many of the fans here for Joaquin Arias, the former Giant. You know, Joaquin Arias, the only perfect game in the history of the Giants, which is rather incredible when you figure this is the 134th season of Giants baseball coming up. Matt Cain's perfect game in 2012, the only perfect game ever pitched by any Giant in all those many years.
That is remarkable.
The final play of that game was a tough high bouncer right along the third baseline that went to Joaquin Arias. And he tried to get his feet set for the throw, and he stumbled a little bit. For a moment, you thought, oh, I hope he doesn't fall over. And then he makes that throw across the diamond with everything riding on it. You can't have an error. It's not a perfect game. And he got his man at first, and that was the final out of the perfect game. 1-1 the count to Arias. And it seemed like, until last year anyway, Arias would have long stretch where he hardly ever played, just occasionally. Pinch hitter, double switch, give it a day off. But then at some point somebody would get hurt. Pablo Sandoval would have the hamate bone or whatever, and Arias would play every day for 2 months. And he'd get hot. And for 2012, 2013, 2014, he finished those seasons with a hot bat, and he was a reliable pinch hitter off the bench and a reliable depth. Last year that never happened. He never had that several-week period where somebody went down and he played every day. And he never did find his bat. Yeah. A little bit too high.
Just a bit. Well, it's just so many big moments in postseason, too. I mean, he had everything to do with those championships he was a part of.
And he was really good with the glove at third base, but he could play shortstop. He could play, and in the last couple of years, he played a lot of first base, and he was excellent. June 13, 2012, Matt Cain had retired 26 in a row, and this was the final out. Perfect game. And that was Joaquin Arias. In fact, watching that play, Mike, that play was tougher than I even remember it. And I remember it as being tough.
He threw an absolute strike, and he didn't have his whole lower body underneath it. And it really was. I mean, there were two plays that defined that game. The one miraculous play that Gregor Blanco made to take an extra base hit away from, I believe Jason Castro hit it. And then the play that ended it.
Well, Jason Castro was the guy who hit the ball for the final play. And
Jordan Schaefer.
Yeah,
that's who it was.
There we go.
Thank you, guys in the truck.
Still 2-2 to Joaquin Arias.
So I think for the rest of Joaquin Arias' life, every time he gets introduced in front of a Giants crowd, he's going to get that reaction. Because they won't forget him. And they shouldn't. Quiet gentleman. Good teammate. And a great player.
And he really, for the first time as a big leaguer, found a home with the Giants. Runner from first going, and Arias gets a piece of it. Because he had been considered a top prospect. He was involved in the trade when Alex Rodriguez got traded by Texas to the Yankees, because he was considered that kind of a prospect. And it never really came around for him. And then finally, when he went to San Francisco as a utility infielder, he stuck, and he did a great job for the Giants in that role on some great Giants teams. And that's out of play.
Plus, he also has the uncanny ability. So when he's taking an at bat and he knows that we're talking about him, he's fouling off like 14 pitches.
We appreciate it. And another story about him that I like.
Do you remember the time in Cincinnati?
That'd be the only reason I wouldn't vote for Vladimir Guerrero, Hall of Fame. You have all these great Vladdy stories, right?
Yeah.
Interesting thing about Vladdy, he was down. There's a high drive. He was always hitting the first pitch.
Yeah, he wouldn't foul anything off.
That's a base hit to right field, and that's quite an at-bat for Joaquin Arias. He knocks in a run, and Freeman over to second as Jensen has scored. And that makes it 8-4 Arizona. And it also shows that there's a limit to the Giants fans' appreciation of what the guy's done in the past. He gets a hit, knocks in a run against him. The cheering is over.
Guy, you start booing him now.
Not a good inning for Derek Law. A couple of runs in. The Giants make the change. We'll be right back. Sellout crowd, not any longer. A lot of fans have headed off to do something else here in the Valley of the Sun. The Giants are down 8-4, 2 runs in for Arizona here in the 9th inning. And Derek Law removed from the game for Vin Mazzaro, the 29-year-old right-hander who is in camp with the Giants. And the guy's had some big league experience. The Giants have seen him before. He broke in with Oakland back in 2009. Also had been with Kansas City, the Pirates, and last year got a brief look-see with the Miami Marlins.
Sinker slider guy, and the Giants are looking for a guy. Remember, Jeremy Affeldt was their guy who they could bring into an existing inning with men on base, get a ball hit on the ground, and get a double play. And they're sort of looking for somebody to fill that role. And Mazzaro is that guy. He can put the ball on the ground.
A little bit low on the outside. Apparently, ball 1 to Peter O'Brien, the designated hitter for the D-backs. He's had an RBI single and also a double in 4 trips. Struck out a couple of times. 2 men on, 2 men out in the 9th. Freeman at second, Arias at first. Left center field. And that's in there. Moncrief on the bounce. Coming around third, Freeman scores easily. Arias ended up at third base.
Let's go. Well, when Arias was hitting, we were talking about Matt Cain. We should update our folks at home as to the health of Matt Cain.
Matt Cain had a cyst on his right arm, and they had basically got rid of that cyst, which was not a big serious thing, but they put some stitches on after they got rid of it, and then he really couldn't throw because you don't want to open up that area anymore. So they wanted to make sure that it was fully healed. They took the stitches out, and Mike, when he did throw a bullpen yesterday,
and he aired it out pretty good. He said he was cutting loose, so they'll probably do him another bullpen, and then probably live hitters in a batting practice type situation, and then he'll be in a ball game. Now he's behind, but there really is no pressure on the Giants to get him ready for the absolute opening day. And they could hold him back down here in Arizona for another start or two, and they are going to make sure that he is ready to go and he's not rushed. He's an important part of the season, and they're all excited about what they've seen so far prior to him having that cyst rupture and then have it removed. He was throwing the ball great. Last year when Matt Cain was getting hit around, his velocity on his fastball was 92, 93. It's what it was when he was having all those great seasons. It was the ability to repeat the arm slot, which he could not do consistently. That's what set him back. And he was not having a problem with that early on this spring. And that's the key. If you can get him back in control of his arm slot and his release, then you'll see him put up numbers like he did in the past. The elbow chips are gone. He had them surgically removed. His arm is healthy. He's in great shape. And it's just a matter of him being patient while they take the time and go through the proper channels and get him ready to go for the season.
Moreno throws out Glazeman, and at long last the inning is over. 8 men back, 3 score. The D-backs lead the Giants 9-4. Arizona, 9 runs, 13 hits. The Giants 4 runs, 9 hits. And we head to the last half of the 9th inning from Scottsdale Stadium on a beautiful day, a little cooler than it's been. Sam LeCure, you may recognize that name, a former member of the Cincinnati Reds. So this guy's had a lot of experience, and the D-backs have done a lot of things trying to fortify their pitching staff. So LeCure is a veteran who they may utilize to add a little depth to that bullpen.
Yeah, he's having a good start. Just 2 base runners allowed in 3 innings. He's got a low 90s fastball with 2 types of movement. Got a good changeup and a slider. Strike thrower. He's got a little over 4 years at the big league level.
Aramis Garcia is thrown out by Vargas, the shortstop. And just like that, there is 1 away. I asked Aramis Garcia if he says his name Aramis. And he said he usually says it Aramis. And I said, where are you from? Because Aramis Garcia, somehow I thought maybe he's from the Caribbean or whatever. He says, South Florida. But we will try to find out how a guy likes to have it pronounced. So anyway, we had some stories about him to tell, some things we learned about him, but he's gone on 1 pitch.
1 pitch.
Next,
all of Vlad Guerrero.
Carlos Moncrief with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Don't forget tomorrow the Giants with another Cactus League friendly, and we'll have it on NBC Bay Area and the Giants television network starting at 3 o'clock. Madison Bumgarner will get the start for the Giants against the San Diego Padres. Brandon Maurer is scheduled to start the game for the Pods. Center field, Bray shading the eyes with the glove. He's got it. And Moncrief is 0 for 1. And now Jarrett Parker with 2 down. Parker knocked in a run with a single back in the 2nd inning. And has not had a hit since. He struck out twice and flied out once. Monday, the Giants travel down to Mesa. And you say travel down, it makes it sound like it's a big operation. The ballpark in Mesa, Hohokam Park, what's that, 15-minute drive?
Yep, 15 minutes.
And that's if you have some heavy traffic. But there's a 7:05 on the radio on Monday, the Giants and the Athletics on the KNBR Giants radio network. And it will be seen on Comcast, let's see, on CSN California. CSN California. The A's telecast. And that ball is hit a mile. Wow. On the rooftop of the Charro Lodge. Whoa. That was spectacular.
Well, for all the folks that hung around, there's your reward.
Second home run of the spring for Jarrett Parker.
Like a little breaking ball. Sort of get it in, first pitch strike at the belt. Boom.
You don't see many guys hit it onto that rooftop out there.
Yeah, this is Barry Bonds country. It really is. If Bonds would hit the roof, he'd hit him over the roof. That's what they'll talk about in the clubhouse.
George Kataris, the catcher, veteran. And managers like to have a backup catcher who's a left-handed hitter. Kataris has been a guy who he's had a little pop. He's shown some home run power, and a guy who has gotten a lot of walks. No swing on that one.
Take a look at pure power. Just plant that front foot. Such a beautiful throw of the hips. Watch the backside come through the ball. The weight right between the feet. Absolute perfect distribution of power.
2-2 now. To Kataris.
And if you're going to hit a home run, do it in your last at bat, because you will feel that the rest of the night.
It's a Saturday, and enjoy your Saturday night. Especially that one, man. That was breathtaking.
Pure.
That is the game. 9-5 the final. The D-backs over the Giants. The other Giants squad taking on the Angels, and the Giants lost that game 9-5. So from that standpoint, business as usual on an investors weekend with all the Giants investors group down here, and they always get shelled on this Saturday.
For whatever reason.
Final 9-5 here in Scottsdale. Join us tomorrow afternoon at 3 on NBC Bay Area for the Giants and Padres with Madison Bumgarner getting the start. Coming up next on CSN Bay Area, it's Beyond Baseball. Jake Peavy. Now for Mike Krukow, this is John Miller on behalf of our colleague Dwayne Kuiper, who's on assignment. Thanks for joining us. So long from Scottsdale. See you tomorrow.
On this